Johnson, and this is Focus on Liberia. Hit it! From Cape Mount to Cape Palmer, Mount Nimba to Atlantic Ocean, Obomi Hills to Boakai, to educate, elevate, and promote. Talk about home affairs, in diaspora, current affairs, reliable information, history, talking about culture, politics, education, entertainment, business, sports, advertisement, articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. From Monday to Sunday.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Friday Night Debate on Focus on Liberia. My name is Dennis Jai, and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. In tonight's edition of Focus on Liberia, we will be debating President Boakai's trip to France. That's number one. The U.S. visa extension. That's number two. Dismissal of the Minister of Mines and Energy, and also what I call a spree of resignation from the newly established Citizen Movement for Change. Again, joining me for this very important discussion, I have from the nation's capital, Mr. Jimmy Eastman, whose name is synonymous to diplomacy. Welcome, Jimmy.
Hey, Dennis, glad to be here.
Thank you. Let me also welcome Dr. Augustine Mane Sumo. Dr. Sumo, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dennis. Thank you.
Also, as if we didn't have enough doctors already, is Dr. Joshua Williams of the Liberal Transformation Agenda. Welcome, George.
Dennis, thanks so much. It's great to be here, Mr. Eastman, Mr. Sumo. Great to be in your company. As always, when it comes to Liberia, we're happy to be a part of the conversation.
Thank you. Thank you. We want to welcome all our viewers from across the globe. If you have not already done so, please hit that share button, invite someone, share the show, and let's get started. So the first, as I told you, President Boakai's visit to France, strategic, is it a strategic outreach or symbolic diplomacy? President Boakai's recent trip to France include meetings with President Macron and the executive of ArcelorMittal. It also includes a dialogue or a meeting with Liberians in France. But it also coincided with controversial elections in Cameroon and Ivory Coast that France have allegedly have ends in, and the sentencing of former French President Nicolas Sarkozy, who has been sentenced to 5 years in prison for a scheme to get some campaign funding from the one we all knew as the Libyan dictator, Muammar Gaddafi. So the questions I have for you tonight, it will be based on that. What are some of the tangible outcomes from President Boakai's visit to France, and how do they align with Liberia's development priorities? But let me start by saying, let me just get your reaction to the president in France and what is obtaining. Let me start with Dr. Sumo.
Thank you very much, Dennis. And once again, it's my pleasure to be here. Presidential visits in general is significant, to a nation, especially so a developing nation such as Liberia. As you can see, these visits have the pros and cons. But for a developing nation, it helps, generally, in my view, the sitting president of that nation, to internationally promote their agenda and be able to, garner some support for the country. So that is important. At the same time, these presidential visits, as I've been seeing it over the years and from government studies, they also help to energize the local base, back at home, at a political level, party level, and even as get citizens energized as they see their country moving forward internationally with other world leaders. So yes, I think it's a good thing for Liberia, where we come from right now, the kind of image we're trying to repair after the war and post-war image as well, and that a president has to do all he or she can to go out there, take out the message, try to rephrase, your country's image, and then at the same time trying to create some collaborations and some possible concession agreements. But my thing about presidential visit is, how is it going to benefit the country economically? Is the visit too expensive for the country? We can argue that out. And if, for example, in some of the cases we've been arguing or seeing, sometimes you have the president carrying so many people on his, as delegates. Is it beneficial to the country? Because it comes with a cost. So if you go into look for example, a $1 million concession agreement, and you spend $2 million on just the visit alone, I don't see the need for it. So yes, I think these visits are good. It helps domestically and internationally. It promotes the image of the country and it creates opportunity to promote the president's agenda.
Thank you. We are also joined by Mr. Anthony Gay. He calls himself the ANC nationalist. And Anthony, I'm not going to talk about the election. So
you're not going to talk about the election, but you say talking about it.
I want to talk about the election in which you lost. So I wouldn't say that.
It's all right.
But welcome, sir.
Thank you, sir. My political idol, Barack Obama lost his first statewide election by 17 votes. So and I remember that vividly. It really touched Michelle Obama. One time she was out on the campaign trail. What really touched you the most, she said, by losing by 17 votes. So I remember that. Yeah. But yeah, thanks for having me, and good evening to the panelists and good evening to the follower of FOL.
Thank you. So since you're already on the floor, let me ask you, what are some of the tangible outcomes emerging for President Boakai's visit to France? It may be too early to tell because he's still there, but let me get your what you think of the trip to France.
Well, Dennis, in all fairness, this president has been traveling, and I begin to wonder whether or not, before you travel to a country, there should be some kind of backdoor communication, establishment first of all, before you can even travel to a country. This country that we see signing deals and that come out public, like Ghana, Ivory Coast, and the rest of the other countries. They signing that we see is just the formality of things, but the real work was done prior to them traveling to this country, and I hope that our people will learn these things. You don't just travel hoping some way, somehow, something might happen for you, right? In order to make this trip, you must do your homework, do the connection, make sure that there is a possibility for something to happen before you can take a trip. Because again, that the gentleman was just saying, this trip is not cheap. And you traveling, well, with this particular trip, I don't know how many people travel on this trip. But the last trip to Japan, we know about 40 people travel there. And so, I mean, every trip should be meaningful and should be in the interest of Liberia. Should not be, oh, our president traveling at least make the image of Liberia better. No, it should not be that case. Every move should be strategic and should be important for the country, not just to be seen on the international stage. And I will hold back for now to make any assessment as to what happened in France yet. But just the overall of all the travel that happened, I'm just speaking from that standpoint for now.
Thank you. Let me also welcome Mr. Evans Morris, a sympathizer of President Weah. And let me welcome Mr. Emmanuel G.K. George. He is the president or chairman of ANC Diaspora. He just won election. Welcome, Evans, and welcome, Mr. George.
Thank you, Mr. George.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank
let
you.
me
Good to
ask
see you, Mr. Ward, Jimmy, Augustine, Anthony. Good to see you again, Elvis and Dennis.
Sir.
Yes,
How you doing?
Thank you.
Big brother George.
Welcome. Yeah, what are you saying?
I said, given France's alleged role in controversial elections in Ivory Coast and Cameroon, and we also see that the imprisonment of the former French president Nicolas Sarkozy for allegedly he was convicted because he was trying to get campaign funding from Libya. Libya, they all call dictator. So given the timing, should Liberia be cautious about deepening ties with France? Because we know what the role of France in Africa. France Afrique.
Okay, so from what I'm gathering, I had to take a deep look at this. From what I'm gathering, we're trying to do a narrative reset. Liberia is largely known as a post-war recipient since 1990, and we have not been taking an active role in global politics or anything. We were just mainly a war-torn country, and these people were happening to resuscitate the country. But now it appears that we're gaining more influence on the world front. The other day we were nominated to the
Security Council,
UN Security Council. So by showing bonds between permanent members like France, we're kind of reinforcing our influence on that body. We're getting more clout now, so to speak, because we're showing that we're can visit these countries. We can make bilaterals with these countries. So we're getting a better footing, a better name for ourselves. But that has to be followed by careful strategy and action. Now, Liberia can gain from this visit. I mean, France still has technology we can gain from. They still have some investors who would love to invest in various sectors in Liberia, but it has to be followed up. They still have a strong influence in the EU, the IMF. They're good into infrastructure building. Okay, they do aviation, they do energy, banking. There are some things that they can still offer us. But again, it will have to be careful negotiations, give and take. We should not appear as if we just want to beg.
Jimmy, let me redirect you to my question and then I can move on.
Okay.
I'm talking about what is going on in France, in Cameroon, where a 92-year-old president won for the 8th time. In Cote d'Ivoire, 80-something-year-old
87.
also won election by banning the other people, and these people are backed by France. Now we see our 80-year-old president going to France. Is this coincidence?
Yes. So one would think we smell collaboration. You know, France trying to remain dominant in Cameroon and Ivory Coast. Are we going there to collaborate with them to keep perpetuate their dominance? But I wouldn't want to I wouldn't want to jump to say that.
All right.
Okay. Because I mean, though it looks like we're trying to align ourselves with them, we still haven't strategically done anything in the region to point to that.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. Somebody was telling me, said, what does France have that I think it's a comment here. He said France need us more. But another person said, why the former French colonies are trying to run away from France. We talk about Burkina Faso, Niger, Mali, people running away from France. We are going towards France, and it's happening at this time.
Well, the economic imperatives driving the current government towards France. Again, one of the fears we have is that as far as geopolitics is concerned, Liberia is grappling with its role and title as a member of the Security Council, at the same time trying to balance its place in continental politics as well as global politics with European powers. And so you find this government desperate for an opportunity to show a win, will seek and go beyond reasonable understanding of why they're pursuing some of these avenues. You just heard that the contract with Total was signed recently or revisited. And so Total might be returning as a production sharing agreement that has been entered into between the government and Total. That's a French company. And so France has deep interests in ensuring, just like the US, France has deep interest in ensuring that her corporations are situated. And Liberia is seemingly, given our non-convictional role as far as Burkina Faso and Mali and some of the other African countries that have stood up and said, no, we're not doing this. We're going to take another approach. We're going to take a new approach. Liberia hasn't gotten there. And in so many ways, we need to define where we want to go as a nation, as a people. There was a time in Liberia's history when the world knew where Liberia stood. Today, we vacillate between all of these powers, again, out of a desperation to make a political mark at home. And that might be hurting us as a nation, as a people. And it calls for some renewed thinking on how we go about, engaging our country.
Thank you. Mr. George, that's Emmanuel now. He's not Dr. William. Jimmy, Dr. William brought 2 points. Total, we also hear ArcelorMittal. And before the president could go to France, he was in America, and we heard that HPS was discussed. HPS and ArcelorMittal, they're competing, right? George is also talking about moving between that. We don't have a clear foreign policy, direction. Let me ask you this: when it comes to Liberia, does Liberia have a clear foreign policy doctrine, or are we simply responding to invitation from global powers? And you can situate that within HPS, ArcelorMittal, Total, and the rest of it.
No, at the moment, no, we don't have a very clear foreign policy of front as a country. I would agree with you. We seem to be reacting or moving from one global stage to another global stage and now synchronizing our policy. I know when Gaffwan was Minister of Foreign Affairs, he was he hinged his policy on economic diplomacy. That was his policy. I'm not too sure what Kemoya's policy was, and I'm not too sure what the current foreign minister policy it is. Even though she seems to be making great strides, but I don't see us synchronizing our policy. But looking towards France, and which I still question why we should spend so much money for that trip. But our neighbors, looking at our neighbor of La Côte d'Ivoire and La Journée, they are French-speaking countries. They still, these two countries are still loyal to France. In fact, the current president of La Côte d'Ivoire, Ouattara, when he was prime minister of Côte d'Ivoire, he had a very strong connection to France, and the French actually supported him when he was removed. When the coup d'etat was removed him at a particular point in time, the French actually supported his return. So that connection and looking at peace within our environment, I think is one of the reasons why we should continuously have a good relationship with France and based on that. But yeah, I know there was a meeting with Metal Steel, AML in France, and there's a struggle within the two. And my intelligence report, which it may not be 100% confirmed, also shows that it's because of that struggle between Metal Steel and HPX that the Minister of Mines and Energy had to turn in his resignation, which was recalled, and then he was fired after his resignation was recalled. Had a situation because of his firm stance against some of the policies with which HPX is negotiating. That is not 100% confirmed, but that's the reporting I'm getting. So yes, on the one hand, then we have the deal with Total. Maybe the president wanted to go back to show the French government that this, but France have not actually really invested in, like during the George Weah time regime. When we have visited, the Liberia promised $10 billion, which ended up going to French companies, not coming into the hands of Liberia. So at that level, you try to question it. But if it's issue of security, the issue of confirming that we are still partners because we have given contract to Total, that is a great front. But France is, I don't see it as a very major political frame within the international arena to Liberia. And again, maybe another point in school is the French president, the first high-profile international president agreeing to visit Liberia. I don't know whether it's the best time to invite a president to Liberia, but I think that's where I would situate this conversation around regional security, around trying to harness French friendship in order to keep the region as peaceful as it is right now. But we don't have any serious foreign policy trust right now as Liberia.
Thank you. Elvis, when I was talking about the coincidence, I saw you smiling. So what do you think of the time France is popping up these regimes in Cameroon and Cote d'Ivoire, which is a disgrace, right? And things are happening in Liberia, like the resignation of the lands of the Mines and Energy Minister, or the termination. At the same time, the president is in France. Do you see any coincidence, or what message is President Boakai trying to send here?
All right, thank you. Look, I think the days of Liberia being some kind of voice for freedom fighters, I think those days are over. And President Boakai is kind of showing that he's not worried about these different countries, suffering under the thumb of France. He's trying to get what's best for Liberia. And actually, I agree with that policy. One of the things that I think he missed is that the state visit is fine. Going to see the president is fine. Well, he should have went to some of these French companies and talked to maybe their CEOs or CFOs and try to look for expanded, investment in Liberia. For example, Orange, Orange has to say in Liberia. What we have in Liberia is a subsidiary of the one that's in Ivory Coast. But we can try to talk about, they should have went there with a plan that, okay, we want to extend mobile service to our rural areas. We have a plan here. We need collaboration with this, with Orange. Maybe you can bring more towers, put in the rural area to give us more communication throughout our nation. You know, just having a plan and then going there and looking for collaboration with these different big companies. I have a couple of companies in Liberia, the Orange and Total. But I think President Boakai went there just on a simple state visit. He didn't go there looking for foreign, investment or trying to expand foreign investment, for companies that are French. And I think that's a missed opportunity. And second of all, you know, we don't have anything to worry about in terms of, what France have with the French African countries where their economy is almost embedded with the French, central bank, and their currency is tied to the French currency, or the money being held in French bank. We're not that close with France in terms of our interwovenness with the French, economy. So it's an opportunity to go there as a individual in a country that is not really tied to France and looking for investment opportunities. And I think the president missed that opportunity. They're dancing about, having some, modicum of success, in terms of the foreign, foreign service. But I think what President Boyka needs to focus on now is this whole HPX and the ArcelorMittal deal because there's a lot of international interest in that deal. And the people from, I hate to say it, it's not controversial, but the people from Nimba who are serving in this government are wholeheartedly behind ArcelorMittal because they know the investment ArcelorMittal has put in their county, and they're not going to turn their backs on ArcelorMittal now. So for the most part, anybody from Nimba is going to be on the side of ArcelorMittal. And perhaps that's probably why you saw Wilmer Pay being fired because he probably was a staunch opponent for this HBS, a company coming in and trying to usurp ArcelorMittal with the railroad issue. So I think the president now is probably showing his hand that he's probably leaning more towards HBS because it's probably going to be a new infusement of investment or some cash to his government that's going to, bankroll some projects that he wants to do. Maybe that yellow machine, maybe, is depending on his money coming in from HBS. Of course, President Trump is also leaning on the president heavily to try to approve the HPX deal. So I think going to France and trying to buddy up with Macron. Macron has been known as a snake. I hate to say it, diplomatically. He's somebody that is, will smile in your face but stab you in the back. So the fact that the president seems
That's the basis of my question, right? Because Macron or France, you could say France is bad for Africa. So why you want this guy to be your buddy?
no, that's what I'm saying. My point here is the main focus that I'm making is not even about the president of France. But going in there, getting tangibles, man. Going in there to these French companies. We have two major French companies like Total and Orange, where you can go in there and talk to them and talk about expansion in the country on the economic front, not really on the political front. That's what people always talk about. Oh, foreign direct investment. We have two French companies that's operating in Liberia. The president could have went there with his foreign minister, perhaps, with a pre-formulated plan on how to expand, these investments in the country, and then ask for collaboration from these different companies. Not looking at Macron to come and give you $10 million for putting a hospital in Bapoli or something like that. So I think that was a missed opportunity. But geopolitically, we're not so tied to France that we have to worry about French dominance in Liberia. Just the economic opportunity with the companies that we can maybe expand those investments in Liberia that will benefit the citizens. That's what I'm saying.
Thank you. Victor, they say the time. I mean, Weah was the football president. He played in France, so there was a lot expected. When President Weah was there. So the rainy field, the bucket. Now we got you. But let's move past that. My question to you, the veteran UPP and political progressive activists. How do we distinguish between diplomatic symbolism and strategic substance in Liberia's foreign engagements?
Well, it's difficult. I think the distinction is going to be in the fruits that are born from these visits. But we all know the Liberian government has gone pretty, practically everywhere, and they haven't brought back anything. They've been to China and they've been to Japan. They've come to the States. They're all over the place. So that distinction is difficult to make. But I said this about France and Liberia's apparent interest in France. You know, in diplomacy, we say what there are no permanent friends, but you know, there can be interest. France is having a difficult time in Africa. They've been driven from out of their traditional countries that they were allied with for decades. And I think it's smart on the part of Liberia. They might be seeing an opening here that France is trying to still remain relevant on the continent, and they may be looking for new friends. This is a new frontier for Liberia. I get it, but there's nothing wrong with that. We know the former president we went to Paris. I think he got over $10 million from Macron, even though that was based on, like you said, his friendship with the French people during, you know, because of his days as an athlete in Paris and in Europe. But I think we have to give the government credit for trying, even though, you know, there are questions about, you know, the tangibles coming out of these trips. But I think they're trying. And we have to wait and see what comes out of France. But I think there is a reorientation that is going on with France and our traditional allies, you know, the francophone countries on the continent. You know, we all know them, Mali, all these places. They've been driving France out of their, you know, their country where they've had troops and had these long traditional relationships.
Right.
So if Liberia thinks they can, you know, we can see an opening there, I don't see what is wrong with trying, you know, to make a pitch. I'm not saying this is what his government is doing, but I will also argue that may not be a bad thing to do.
Right. So strategically, what do you think Liberia is trying to gain from this French relationship?
Well, I understand the president has invited President Macron. You know, we all know how these Western leaders travel. When they're going these trips, most of the big business people go with them, and they're looking for investment opportunities. And so I assume when Macron comes to Monrovia, he's coming in tow with most of his big, you know, I hope, is big, you know, investors in France, and they will come and take a look at Liberia and see if you know, there could be an investment opportunity. So in that way, I think we gain by, you know, attracting investment, hopefully, into Liberia. Something that we all here agree we badly need.
Jimmy, your friend Sam Wallow is taking you guys to tax here. He said, look at that. Now, this panelist says President Boakai should focus on HPX deal. Earlier this year, everyone called it a fake deal and only an MOU. It is now a closed $1.8 billion deal. What do you think?
You know, this HPX, and we need to watch it, because if you think about it, we already took how many $37 million from HPX in the we admin, and we haven't delivered what they wanted yet. We see ArcelorMittal on the other hand not willing to give any weight to this HPX deal. This thing is going to blow up in our face if we don't handle it very well. It appears that we have overcommitted, and to navigate these waters, you see pressure coming from the U.S. and I'm looking. I mentioned something. I don't want us to be seen as collaborators. Africa is taking a new trend. We're trying to get away from the exploitation of colonialism that kept us all, and we got pennies on the dollar for anything we ever done. So our sister countries are moving away from this colonial unfair practice. Now, for you to start cuddling up with those colonialists it shows that you're a collaborator, and it doesn't show good. However, if we use it as a position to negotiate in our interest, then it will be good. But as it is, Boakai has to remain cognizant that Africa is changing its tone toward the colonial settings that were dominating in Africa in the last decades.
Let me just say something in 10 seconds. Quickly, to Sam Wallow's point here that he's making in his last comment about the state visit. This is a historic thing that, you know, France and other Western countries will do. They did it with Samuel Doe. When they want you to be their toady, when they want you to be their stooge, they give you that appearance of importance. They give you a state visit, they give you a full military salute, and you think you're so important, you're so close to that country, and they want you to do a specific thing like this HPS deal. And I think Samuel, being an educated man, is being blindsided here because them giving President Boakai a state visit doesn't mean that they're holding him in very high esteem. They just want him to do what he's supposed to do with this deal. And once that deal is passed, they're probably going to throw him by the wayside. So don't be fooled by this state visit. That doesn't mean President Liberia is going to be buddy buddies, more so than they have from the former African colonies. Remember that.
Emmanuel,
Dennis, if I may just
elders.
if I may just pass again.
one second. Let me from Emmanuel come to you. Is Labrador trying to eat with two hands here? We say throw monkeys down, right? Because APX now I sell material, and remember the whole sanction thing with President Weah's group. It was because those guys already got advance payment from HPX and all these things happening. Now we see President Boakai between the two. Remember, he was here in America and the beautiful English summit. And somebody was telling me, he said, no, Trump was not looking at the English. Soon the man said, we got mineral. He said, that's beautiful English.
Yep.
We're trying to eat with two hands here, or Emmanuel?
Well, it depends on what our foreign policy strategy is, what the output is. Based on that, then you will understand whether we're trying to eat with two hands or we should strategically trying to work the governments for the best interest of Liberia. And I struggle to see what the strategy in this is, because first, let's just take it back. 1 week ago, this was a foreign policy development in Liberia. We had an understanding between the Department of State and the government of Liberia to bring in Mr. Castillo to Liberia and on the statement, then when the foreign minister visited, if you read the statement on the State Department website, it spoke to two things: Liberian minerals, one, and then so they sent out the interest of America, Liberia mineral. Then they ended that statement with Liberia is working towards the MCC, the Median Challenge. We had that two things in the statement. And then after that, we had the issue of Garcia. And after the issue of Garcia, we have the continuous conversation with the HPX. So when you look at what was happening in the country 2 weeks ago, is Liberia was reliving U.S. foreign policy of what we have now with the Trump administration, which is mineral diplomacy. You have mineral, we be your friends. You don't have mineral, we cannot be your friends. If you offer us mineral, we go into contractual agreement. And within the contractual agreement, if we are going to give you money, we're going to send political deportees to you. If you accept political deportees, we give you money. That was what was being played. And then the end of the week ended with perhaps the second conversation we're going to have is now that you seems to be working along with us in all these channels, and in 2024 you decided to give 3 years visa to American citizens, we will invoke the law of the law to make sure that Liberians get 3 years visa. And while we were rejoicing in that, now our president is in France. So there is a confusion within the strategy right here that I don't understand what the strategy is right now. And now what in France, you're now having why HPX in the US is feeling comfortable with all this development between the Liberian government and US government. We now have a set of mental having a serious conversation with the Liberian president on this visit to France. That seems to put confusion in what our foreign policy trust looks like right now. And I think no serious government will continue to negotiate with you if they don't understand what your strategy is. And that's the reason why I believe that the foreign ministry need to really sit down and decide what is our strategy. Do we want to be talking to everybody at the same time? While we are gaining on this side, do we also want to have challenge on this? I look forward to what will happen. Maybe the government is shut down, so the U.S. government is not reacting. But I look forward to what will happen when the president returns. What will be the U.S. government reaction now to this deeper conversation with Asula Metel? What will be the U.S. government reaction now? If the Liberian government will follow up on all the agreements that the foreign minister may have made on her visit to the U.S. So I won't say it's eating with two hands. It's just that we have not synchronized our foreign policy. I will conclude with this so that if anybody from the government is listening and listen clearly. In 1979, when President Tobler came back from the United Nations, he had a conference in Liberia where he declared two things. One, that Liberia would support a two-state solution in Israel and condemn Israel in actions in the Middle East. Two,
Palestine.
In Palestine. Two, he decided that Liberia will be a neutral. We agreed to have to be a non-aligned state, and that we're opening our country to a Russian president. By the next year, we know what the story is. So we have to have a clear-cut approach to our strategy, so our international partner can understand what our strategy is and not be going all around the place and having conversations that may not benefit, may not be in the interest of first the Liberian people, and our foreign partners can have a clear understanding as to where we are going.
Victor, you wanted to come in quickly, 10 seconds, so we can move on, because I think maybe our price will go up when they don't know. You know, when you find man and you between all the people, the price go up because they don't know who you're going to pick. Go ahead.
When you have a purpose.
A quick point.
The comment I wanted to make about what Jimmy was saying, he was not entirely wrong, but I find that difficult. The point that he wants Liberia to push. Look, when you are negotiating, you have to negotiate from a certain degree of strength. Right now, where is the strength that Liberia has to call the shots in any negotiation? How do you negotiate? How do you even make any demand when you're begging? I mean, look, 2 years running, this government has been begging all over the place. What have they brought him? Nothing. You know, Wallo can talk about HPS all he wants. I want to see what is on the ground. You can't talk to me about pie in the sky about HPS. He's been singing this song here for almost 24 months now. Where are the tangibles? So I don't think our government is in a position to make demands. Right now, they're all over the place begging. Why? Because the government is corrupt and the people are seeing it. Nobody wants to give us anything. Every day you open the paper, what do you read about? This person is living a plush life on the people dying. This person is doing this and what? Just today, TIA, this person has been in office almost 12 months, 14 months, 24 months. He's just realizing that the contract with TIA was wrong. He's just doing something about it. Or is it because somebody who was there has had their belly full and they're ready to leave before he's ready to do something about it? So they can go all over the place all they want. If they don't straighten out back home, we will get nothing. They will come home with nothing all the time. And that weakens our position to negotiate. So yeah, we're talking about Garcia. All the countries in the region refuse Garcia. We're taking him in. Why do you think we're doing that? Because we went and we were prostrating ourselves to any.
There's a number on the HPS deal.
Hold on, Evans. Let Sumo come in. Go ahead, Sumo.
Yeah, you know, I'm listening to this HPX and SLR mental, you know, argument. But one thing I do know with my experience with Western Cluster, some time ago when I was involved in some of their, you know, discussions, HPX does not have any mining development agreement, which is the MDA contract with Liberia, as far as I'm concerned. But Accelerator does. They have signed a mining agreement or development agreement with Liberia, and that is enforced. So I think HPS should be more discussing with Accelerator than that of the Liberian government, because it is Accelerator that has that mining agreement. Because HPS wants to use, they are in Guinea and want to use the railroad system, you know, to export their product out of Liberia, and that money right is with Accelerator. So I think that is the argument there. I don't see HPS as a competitor to Accelerator where they want to, you know, take over any money in Nima, but just the use of the railroad. If there's anything outside that, I stand corrected, but I don't see any competition because HPS does not have an MDA with the Liberian government. I just want to make this clear.
No, okay. To respond to you quickly, the thing here is not that they want to mine in Liberia. The thing is, HPA is a competitor of ArcelorMittal. So ArcelorMittal in no way is going to allow them to use that railroad to bring the iron ore from Guinea to the shores of to Liberia to ship it out of the continent. So that's the issue. So they're trying to strong arm the Liberian government by hook or by crook to give them usage of that railroad, which is owned by the Liberian government. And the government have the ability to say, you know what, we're going to do a dual share agreement with these two companies that's going to benefit us and increase our tax revenue. But as Salamita has been lobbying, especially people from Nimba, the people in the government from Nimba have been heavily opposed to HBA having access to that railroad. So that's the issue. And I think we have the leverage to answer your question, Mr. Number. We do have the leverage in this negotiation. The Liberian government have autonomy over that railroad, and if they say that HBS can use it, HBX can use it. Salamita have nothing to hold the government to it. It's a property that belongs to the government, not a Salamita.
But don't you think that would be a breach of the contract?
Hold on, Dr. Sumo.
Can I say
Let's
something to
conclude
that?
that wrap up because we have 3 more issues. So, George, I want you to speak last. I have to speak on this one quickly. Is remember when the whole of they had the Ibrahim Traore Day, and Liberia was just maybe one of the countries that didn't take part. And so most of the time, what you will hear from other African nations is, Liberia is collaborating with the imperialists, for the lack of a better word. Now and Jimmy made that point earlier, that people are trying to get away from the colonial mindset. And we see our president in France in a way that, again, we are coddling with this entire imperialist mindset that you have to be connected to one of these people to do something instead of being independent like what they do in other African countries. I want to speak to that as we move on to our next subject.
Well, Dennis, at the end of the day, again, we're grappling with two things here: our national economic interests and our relationship with our neighbors on the continent. Again, since the 70s, where we had a government that was very circumspect in all of its actions, they were clear. There were no ambiguity about which direction government was going. Successive governments ever since, even with the Samuel Doe regime, we had the conflict with China, Taiwan at one point. Then our commitment to the U.S., and then that fell off, and Doe was off the scene. And subsequently, President Sirleaf, of course, pro-American, regardless, unapologetic. And we see President Boakai fall in suit. In fact, symbolic or representative of his commitment to the U.S. Was the fact that he was sworn in using the Bible of George Bush, a gift given to him by President Bush. And that spoke a lot, not just to us Liberians, but to the continent, that Liberia was at the bidding of the U.S. And so, yes, there's competition between ArcelorMittal and Ivanhoe, but at the very end of the day, you have these two superpowers, two economic superpowers, who will continue to arm wrestle the weak nations. And Liberia seemingly is weak. I agree with Victor. We're weak. And because we're weak, we find ourselves caught up in this quagmire. Where do we go? The decision with the railway should be straightforward. When a company enters into an agreement with you, and those concession agreements are signed, it includes the railway.
Yep.
It includes the railway. And if the government has to alter that conversation, that agreement, there has to be a conversation with ArcelorMittal, because they hold the license to use it. They've made some commitments. And so I think our government needs to be clear about where we're going, how we want to go. And that brings us to a whole transformation agenda. We as Liberians need to decide where we want Liberia to go and how we want to go. We're chasing individuals rather than chasing ideological transformation for Liberia. And I think that's where a lot of our conversations need to be had. Where do we want Liberia to go, and how do we want to do it? Away from the personalities. And I think that is where we're falling short.
One company cannot have a monopoly over our railroad. One company can have a monopoly.
Mr. John, can I chime in on this?
We got to move on.
Okay.
Yeah, let's move on to our next, which is a U.S. visa extension. Is it a diplomatic win, a genuine gesture, or a quid pro quo? Liberia now enjoys 36-month US visa, a major upgrade, but the timing raises eyebrows, especially with the quiet acceptance of Kamar Abrego Garcia, a controversial deportee. Let me ask you, starting with you, Anthony, was the 36-month visa extension a genuine diplomatic achievement or a transactional reward for accepting Mr. Garcia?
Mr. Dennis, let me lay out this point. The United States foreign policy focuses on two things. Number one, it focuses on the national security interests of the United States and also United States influence in the world. That's all it focuses on. So for anybody to take a victory lap as to how this extension of visa is because of the president who is in office or whoever is in charge is just a political, bluff. America decides when and how it go about its things. So if that thing is in the best interest of the America national security or America influence, they're going to do it. It doesn't matter who sits at the executive mansion. And this particular deal, just putting, something like visa extension may look like a good thing. But the ultimate goal here is for America to get Garcia out of America to Liberia. Many countries have given up on Garcia. They don't want him. Okay? We are the one who already have security challenges in our country. We don't even have a good praising system, right? We're going to take a notorious criminal into our country.
Stop it, Anthony.
That is not, Alvin, it's the fact.
The man, I know notorious criminal. Stop that thing.
Okay. Whatever the case, that's what it's reporting. I don't know his profile. That's why I'm reading from what I read, right? But yes, the fact here, Mr. Dennis, Mr. Jack, this aspect of visa extension does not give Liberian visa, right? The same criteria that was in place, still in place, in order to obtain a B1, B2, business or tourism visa. All of the other criteria that you're supposed to meet, you still have to meet those criteria. If you can't meet those criteria, you will not be given a visa. Whether the visa is even 10 years or 20 years, those criteria remains. So it's not anything for people to celebrate. This is not an economic boost for the domestic revenue of Liberia, right? So we got to be careful here when we hear this kind of thing and people start celebrating, right? It's like Liberia having, access to the non-permanent seat on the Security Council, where we have zero vote. We cannot vote. It's just a title. So for me, I think what we ought to be doing here is to have a clear-cut domestic agenda that addresses the bread and butter issue of our country. Create jobs for our people, give our people the opportunity to deserve. You have access to the railroad. You have autonomy on the railroad. Talk to our settlement and say, listen, we can have too many operate on the railroad simultaneously. That will not create a problem, which of course will create job opportunity for our people and will benefit Liberia. Do things that will be in the interest of the Liberian people, not just in the interest of very few people. And that's what I stand on this matter.
Thank you. So you believe it is transactional, visa, Garcia?
I think it is transactional. I don't think it's something that America. That is in America's interest. And like I said, America's foreign policies is on two focus points: national security interest and influence in the world.
Thank you. Elvis, what does this deal reveal about Liberia's leverage or lack of leverage in international negotiations?
All right. Yeah, thank you. I'm actually embarrassed because I think the United States think that we're fools, People insult your intelligence by the things that they think they can get away with in front of you, quote unquote, putting the wool over your eyes. In the region, we have the lowest visa acceptance rate in West Africa. The lowest. I think it's like 0.05 or 0.03. It's some ridiculous number, right? This is not telling you that rate is going to increase, meaning more people are going to be allowed to come to the United States. It's only that the few people who are, who visa get accepted are going to have an extended stay, or the visa is going to be, what's the word? It's going to be viable for a longer time, right? So the point here is that you're not getting anything tangible in terms of how many citizens can come and visit the U.S., whether for business or for pleasure. You know, you're not getting anything like that. So they're telling you, I'm giving you something without giving you anything, because the rate of you even getting the visa in the first place remain the same. So, you know, like that old saying, to win a lottery, you gotta be in it, right? So if you're not even gonna be there, you're not even gonna get a benefit. So that's like saying that's something that a smart person would do to a stupid person, like a grown person would do to a child. To pretend that they're giving you something, or really making the stipulation of getting that thing almost impossible. You know? So how can you accept such a deal and think that's a benefit, you know, that's beneficial to you? It's crazy. So for
So,
me, I think
but Evan, let's look at this one. Maybe it have nothing to do with the Garcia issue, right? It could be something standalone.
yeah, but I mean, look at Trump's policies, right? The guy is even talking about getting rid of the diversity visa lottery program, the DV program. So if you think that he wants more Liberians to come to the United States, you'll be out of your mind. I mean, what are we talking about? See people, you know, jubilating over this is a silly thing to do. We're living in this country. We know how to, you know, the immigration policy is going in this country right now with ICE and, you know, and profiling immigrants. The thing that having an extended visa period is a benefit to our country when we have the lowest, you know, visa acceptance rate in West Africa, being America's oldest, you know, oldest ally in the region. It's ridiculous. So for me, I don't think it's necessarily tied to it. I think it's like a game, an insult that America is doing to Liberia. And I think our foreign ministry is too stupid to understand that you're not getting any tangible benefit. Your rate of acceptance is still the same, and a lot of Liberians are not going to get visa to come to the United States. They're starting to, you know, scrutinize how you can get your visa. They look at your social network. You criticize the United States, automatic denial. It's just more strenuous, and the rate remain the same. So for that 0.1% to get accepted, yeah, you get a little longer for your visa to be, you know, active. But
Thank you.
again, you're not going to get more people coming to the United States. So it's not a good deal.
Thank you. While we're talking about this, this guy he noticed that two ANC people here, so he's now wasting time. He said ANC is the problem. They have no solution. And he come out and said, tell what comments will do. So Emmanuel, we're not talking about that now. So hold your peace. Let me go to Manismo. But what are the benefits, perceived benefit, real or imagined, of this visa extension to 3 years or 36 months?
Yeah, okay. From a diplomatic point of view, and given Liberia's history, when we look back, Liberia used to be one of those countries where many people came from around Africa, came to Liberia, used Liberian names, and got visa, and came to the United States. And then we lost all of those privileges to the point that people rather stay to their country now and look for visa instead of coming to Liberia. So if we look at the trend of the American visa issuing procedure, where at a certain time there's this restriction on certain people, you know, not being allowed to come to the United States because of visa restriction, and coming now to the point where they say, so you know what we have in place here now, we're going to increase it. I see that as a significant development because it like to say they're looking at previous record and they're looking at progress. That's what I would see because of some improvement in this era and because of, you know, some changes in this era. So
like what?
Like for example, you know, governance, good governance, for example.
Oh.
And where Liberia trying to play, you know, a major role on the stage, in the, you know, in international stage. So I will welcome it. And as Evan said, yes, I do agree. You only going to give visa extension to the privileged few, yes. But let us be positive about it. That if the reason why they are going back and lifting restrictions, that will also help to increase, you know, visa number insurance. From an economic point of view, does it benefit Nigeria? Yes or no? American people benefit when we buy a visa. But is it going to benefit Liberia? If I came here as an individual and I got 36 months to stay here, And then looking at the U.S. policy, and in after the 6 months, probably I can get some work to do. Is it going to benefit Liberia $1? Yes. I can send money back home. Is it going to benefit Liberia? Yes. So in any case, it has the plus, they have the the plus and minus, pros and cons. But I think it's a very good step in the right direction, and I still agree.
I just want to put that also within the U.S. immigration policy. What they're doing now with immigrants, right? I think
Yeah.
HB1 visa price have gone up. I was reading somewhere, and I have to verify that even to play DV online now, you may pay $1. So the money aspect of it. So economically, how does this benefit Liberia? You said because maybe and normally when people come on this visa extension, what they are for a lot of people that travel is like, okay, if I get my visa, I stay here 1, 2, 3 months, I go back to Liberia. Within 3 years, it will take me 3 years before I go back for visa. So I can be going back and forth. My wife is pregnant, I can send her America, give birth, come back, those kind of things. So if you look at it, maybe only people that are already benefiting will benefit. But as a country, what would be some of the things that we'll enjoy?
Well, that's a very good question, and the answer might not be specific from me, but I mean, economically, it has to benefit the United States because they are the ones selling their visa. But for I who buying the visa and coming here for 36 months, and then you have a U.S. foreign policy or immigration policy that says that if you stay within the United States legally within a given time, you can have a temporary work permit and work. And if that is the case, and that being true, I'm here for 36 months, that's 3 years. Okay? And I can work and then send money back home. That alone is a contribution to the economy.
No.
That's not how it works.
Depends
You
on the
can't
type
work.
of visa you have.
You can't work on a B1, B2 visa without permitted. And also, when you go for your interview, they will ask you how long you plan on staying. They're not going to accept you for 3 years to stay in America.
Tonight, let me go to Jimmy.
Yeah. So about this visa thing, it may be just coincidental because it was last year or the year before Liberia finally started offering American citizens 3-year visas. So they say there's some reciprocity in this thing here. So it could have been something that was in the pipeline and it just birthing now coincidentally with the Garcia incident. But the Garcia incident is not just a simple prisoner relocation. There's a human rights issue with Garcia. I see Sam Wallow here he's missing the point. We do not want to contribute to a human rights violation, the deprivation of some rights by other people, by a nation against another person. If this was an ordinary case that they wanted to send prisoners here, that would be one thing. But Garcia has not been found guilty of anything yet, but they still want, they sent him away and he was forced to go back to the U.S. So I think it's important that we respect the dignity of human life more than anything else. And that was what we should not contribute to. So the visa, if we were a country like India, where they have all these software experts who can who work for 2-3 years in America and go back, who come here for 2-3 year training and go back. It's ideal for them. How much will it benefit us? Again, just like everybody says here, maybe the business people who are frequently up and down, it's less, it's cost savings for them. There is a potential competitive advantage because when people say, oh, Liberians can get visas for a longer period, then people say, well, this place is more friendly with the U.S. I think we can trust them a little more. But all that is just superficial. So the whole visa thing, yeah, I think it's been in the making, but I think we're making way too much of it. Way too much.
And Jimmy, add to that the way Liberian passports, right, in the hand of people that you don't want them to have it. So that could also open the door of more people pretending to be Liberians so that they can get that. And the foreign ministry or the foreign minister brought this, because with the dancing and the celebration, maybe I did.
It's like, John, why you show that picture?
Yeah, I think you're gonna show the
Almost
picture.
forcing the kiss our president. President don't want to kiss.
Yeah. So is it trying? Are they trying to say, okay, you did it? Because Jimmy, you were saying maybe you had nothing to do with it. But what we are saying from the foreign ministry is we have everything to do with this. We need to conclude with that.
But this picture, it doesn't depict anything we were just talking about. So,
well, the minister was dancing because of this visa, and then the president rewarded her perhaps with a kiss.
I'm not going to play into that. I don't understand.
Yes.
The optics doesn't
Wow.
look favorable.
Wow.
And they're telling everybody now.
When they putting people money. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
I think you're showing the wrong one.
He's showing the picture while the video.
We can't. Yeah, we see your dancing.
Yeah.
That's a cringy kiss right there. Oh my God, that's so cute.
Yeah, we go.
You know.
Well, why the president hold our foreign minister hand? Yeah, like girlfriend ain't holding that.
My man, lead that one look by paper.
Yes. Wow.
God. At this time,
Wow.
and they're telling everybody now.
When they putting people money. Oh my goodness.
What did you very love you?
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
I said, well,
sounding like a little schoolgirl.
I when I go to Liberia, I can see some of them coming around like that. So I know they just kind of make the puppet feel good, but I'm not going to speak to that anyway. I think, but this foreign minister has done some things in her way, but it is only the beginning. Until it translates into more jobs, more investments, bigger opportunities for Liberians, change in our standard of living, increase in the per capita income. All this is superficial. It has to be translated. And so as much as it's favorable, but the next steps are the most important steps. And that's what we want to see happen. So congratulations, keep it going. But now the critical point is next.
Thank you, George. Should the public be concerned about the lack of transparency surrounding the Garcia case and its implication on our national dignity? I'm asking this because now people are assuming that this visa extension has to do with the Garcia situation.
So which George are you talking to at this point?
I'm talking to George Williams.
Okay. All right. Well,
the other George is Emmanuel, so I will make that distinction. Sam Wallow got UNC, so he got plenty on his plate now. So I'll keep.
Please. But listen, before I respond to you directly, let me go back to a point that Elvis made. You have a 70, almost 80% rejection rates of Liberians at the embassy for visa. 80%. On the reverse side, you have at least 50% of all Liberians coming to the U.S. overstaying their visas. And so in terms of the policy of that nature, where people will now be given an extension of 3 years or to go in and out or come in and out of the U.S., yes, there are benefits, but those benefits are pretty narrow. They're constrained only for the 20% that's going to make it in here. And even there, when you get to the airport, as you all might know, you get to the airport, immigration officers have the discretion to say how long you can stay.
Yeah.
So what I would like to see, one is that Liberians are not paying the same visa fee Americans pay at the embassy. We should not be paying the same visa fees that Americans pay. That's one. Two, I would also love to see that, and while we applaud the foreign minister for the progress, however small it is. We must applaud her. I think despite apprehensions we've had from her ascendancy, there are a few things we can point to as progressive on her part. I mean,
Like
the
what?
UN Security Council, whether it was the foundations were laid by the previous government or not, it was under her leadership that we got there. So we celebrate that. We can celebrate this, I would call it superficial victory with the
But,
visa extension.
Dr.
Where it
William, why
becomes
are you celebrating superficial
but
stuff?
well, I
Is it
say
because,
superficial
is it
because how
because you
many
have
people are
nothing
going
to
to benefit,
celebrate?
really, Dennis? How many people are going to benefit? Not many. If you have
Yeah.
80% of your citizens who applied rejected, how
So,
many people are actually going to benefit from it?
So why should we celebrate?
Again, it's something.
Okay.
It's something, you know. It's better than nothing. It's something.
I
But
know.
I say, in all fairness and honesty, we have to place Liberia in the position where she is taken seriously. And I remember a time when Liberia was taken seriously, even by our neighbors. So much so that we weren't taken for granted the way, someone made the point. This is all cosmetic, and it's indeed cosmetic. All right. Again, we have a government that's striving for recognition, for wins. The government is truly striving for wins, and whatever little wins that come about, they're going to celebrate it as best as possible. Do you blame them? No, we cannot. And so we're going to celebrate along with them, but we like to see more things, more progressive things happen on the ground, like ensuring that our people aren't lining up on Benson Street in the rain just to get a U.S. visa. We live in what is considered the most progressive country and the most developed country in the world. Are we saying that our visa interviewing system cannot be structured in a way that our people can be told you be there at 8 o'clock and you walk into the fence at 8? Our people sit in the rain. My kids had to sit in the rain waiting to go in at 11 o'clock because there were over 100 people waiting to go into the fence. And so I think our foreign ministry needs to do more. And part of the more is to ensure that we're respected. How can we boast of having this traditional relationship with the U.S. and, we're treated like everybody else on the street? We're treated like everybody else on the street, and we celebrate it. We celebrate it. We should be treated differently. Liberia is a creation of this country. And over the years, how have we been treated? Like everybody else.
We don't respect ourselves.
Thank you. Thank you, George. Let me go to the other judge now, since you want me to call him George. Emmanuel, I mean, could you be dancing the same way the foreign minister dancing? And
oh my God! Oh my God!
Said to you, someone is throwing a jab at you, say, okay, we're celebrating this as a win. Well, if your political leader became president, wouldn't this be the same? But I want you to respond to the first one, then you can come to Sam.
Well, on October 21st, 2024, the Liberian government, through an official statement on the Liberian embassy website, stated that Liberia will be issuing U.S. citizen 3 years visa. A little over 1 year later, the U.S. government decided to do the same. That's the law of reciprocity in international relations. Those of us who travel a lot with Liberian passports and had to go to the U.S. embassy for visa were continuously given 1 year visa. And in some conversation I have with my U.S. embassy counterpart, they told me plainly, we gave you 1 year visa because that's the same thing Liberia gave to American citizens. So if this government decided last year to do and Americans are responding, it is not a great big foreign policy issue because the U.S. embassy has been telling us this something for over 20-something years. Now, what is an issue here? What is the benefit here? Is that, yeah, for many years I traveled with a Liberian, I continue to travel with Liberian passport. For many years I have to go to the U.S. embassy to get visa. And what it meant is that when I had to travel to the US and have to go to the UK and other countries to come back to the US for meeting, go to other places, it meant that within 1 year, I would have to go to the US embassy 2 or 3 times to get my, within 2 years rather, to get my visa or renewed. But what is happening right now is that 5% of us who were given visa anytime we go to the American embassy for an interview, we won't be going there every year. We can now go in and out for 3 years. And to make the correction, whenever you enter the US with a multiple entry visa, you are given, most of the time, the port officer give you 180 days to stay. That is 6 months. And you have to leave within 180 days. And if you are smart enough, you will leave within 1 month or 2 weeks, because you have to go back after 1 year for a visa. But now it's going to take 3 years. That's the only thing that have changed. It's only the 5% of us that already have visa in our passport that will go to the embassy now and wake up the next time to see that would be here for 3 months. So this is where the problem is. And some of my fellow panelists have alluded to it. Under the George Weah regime, we were having 78% denial. Since Mr. Boakai took over, it increased from 78 to 78.19% in 2023, and then went up to 79.38% in 2024. That's where the problem is. So about 80% of us are denied visa. Now, when you go to a country like Botswana and other countries that don't have the same rate, the economy of that country, to make Mr. Wadu understand what Mr. Cummings would do differently, this is what Mr. Cummings is going to do differently. We're going to grow the Liberian economy through the private sector so that many Liberians will be self-sufficient, that the U.S. embassy will know that we have money in our pocket, and that coming to the U.S. is only for vacation and sightseeing, not to come and be an economic refugee in this country. More Liberians will be extremely happy. Mr. Cummings is going to raise the minimum wage from 27,000 Liberian dollars or $150,000 per month to between $300 to $400, so that people can have living wage. People are struggling in that country. How many Liberians can even go to the U.S. embassy if someone is making $150 a month, the U.S. visa is $180. That means that man had to go and borrow $30. Then to get to get a round trip ticket is between $1,600. If it's around the season, it's over $2,500 to $3,000. How many Liberians can afford that? So, Mr. Wallow, what Mr. Cummings is doing is that we're going to grow the economy so that we can be like the Liberia in the 1970s, where embassy officials will tell you that in the 70s, when Liberians were leaving Liberia, we were not afraid to put visa in a passport because they will return home. So we will grow the economy in such a way that every Liberian will be benefiting from the system, that even to think to come to America will be a difficult thing. That the USA will not be on Liberians' mind, because the only time they would think, except they want to come for vacation, they have so much money in their pocket that they will go to Patawi, they will go to Sapo National Park for vacation, they will take their children out to Cote d'Ivoire or Ghana for vacation, and the US will be the last thing that will be on the mind of Liberians. That's what we would do differently. Now you're talking about the Garcia case, we'll take it another approach. This is a situation where, again, go back to the foreign ministry, the State Department statement after the meeting was held. The State Department put 2 things up on the paper. We are interested in Liberian minerals, and we are discussing that. And the second thing is that Liberia is begging us to get something from the MCC. This was the issue of, if you do this, you will get a $500 million. And we agree because we want this money. We are a backup nation. And the next thing Mr. Wallow, Mr. Cummings will be doing will not be traveling around the world and back us. We have enough mind as Liberians. We are a very brilliant people. We can think. We think about how we can build our country. Instead of every year our president traveling from year to year, everybody say, oh, what the president will bring home, what the president bring it on the trade, what the president do that one. That is a crazy way to run a country. Why should we always be begging? I mean, every one of you on this panel tonight, you are extremely smart people. Have you ever succeeded in life begging? When you become a beggar, nobody respects you. They give you anything they want to give you, and you have to take it. You have no choice. That's why President Weah, who have traveled to France, spent so many days there, they gave him $10 million. How much is $10 million? Even the plane that they ride to go to beg for the money is more expensive than the money they bring back to the country. So that's what we'll do different, Mr. Wallow. We'll build that Liberian economy. Liberian will be rich enough that if they come, when they go to the U.S. embassy, they will be begging them to go to get visa. That's what will happen. That will be different under a communist regime, and that's the mindset that seems not to be happening in the Boakai regime. We must stop begging. Begging don't work.
Thank you, Victor. I want to get your response to the 36 month or 3-year visa extension. Good thing, bad thing, conceive concept.
Yeah, I think comes out. I think considering the circumstances right now, the U.S. government is an in-war looking government. They don't seem to have that much interest in what happens around the world, especially in Africa. For this government to have secured, a meeting with Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State. I don't think the former government met Rubio. Of course, the former president was in in the White House at one point or the other. But I think it's worth kind of recognizing on the part of this government. Is it in return for us providing sanctuary to Garcia? Probably. But to have brought this to pre-war levels, then we want to ask what precipitated this. The conditions prior to the war have not changed any. I think they've deteriorated. So everyone here has pointed out the rejection rate of Liberia and Liberians, which is almost 80%. That has not changed. Our overstay rate is around 50%. That has not changed. The conditions that compel our people to overstay in the U.S. are still there, if they're not worse. So is substantive? If this being precipitated by some substantive change? I don't see that. So I will have to put it on the Garcia arrangement or something else. But notwithstanding, you got to give this government credit for trying. Although a lot of us don't see how we can, house this gentleman when everybody else is saying no. But again, it goes back to what we were saying earlier. I think we're so backed up against the wall. We practically will accept, anything. So I probably wouldn't have celebrated the way the minister did. But notwithstanding, you got to give it to her. As others are indicating here, you get 3 years. That's sparing you of standing in the ring for maybe 2 or 3 years or so before you go back there again, even though we hope that is going to be abolished. But yeah, to me, it's come see, come sad.
So if you put it in terms of, some would say return on investment, what are we giving up in order to have this 3-year extension?
Well, we're giving up our dignity. We are a pariah state now. We're housing an individual who is, by all means, a symbol of resistance to this government's illegal deportation of people. They've not done nothing wrong as far as the government is concerned. They haven't proven anything. These are all allegations. He's being deported on mopped-up charges that haven't been, substantiated. Almost every country around the world has said no, we're not taking it, but we are taking him. So, in a sense, that will be our return on this, on harboring this gentleman. So now our people can overstay for, can come and stay for 3 years. But as one of our panelists had already pointed out, how many people are going to benefit from this? It's just a few percentage of us. The condition that really need to change for our people not to overstay and therefore be given more time in the U.S. are the economic conditions in the ground. If the hardship continue to persist, people will not want to go back to Liberia when it comes to the state. People are overstaying in Algeria, for Christ's sakes. Everywhere Liberians go, they're overstaying. They don't want to go back because the country is hard. I think that's where the focus needs to be. I think this is a misplaced focus that we're putting on the visa thing. To me, it has absolutely nothing to do with what this government is doing to our people for almost 24 months now.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Addie Tyler from Pennsylvania, and you're watching Focus on Liberia.
This time we turn our attention to Wilmot Pay, the Mines and Energy Minister who was dismissed. I mean, why? is the question people are asking. Why was pay let go? Things are coming up. Wilmer Pay was removed from his post amid talk of reform, that's what they were saying, but his outspoken stance on mining transparency, some say he was transparent, and his wife public comments suggest that there are some deeper tensions. Let me start with Dr. Mane Sumo on the dismissal of Wilmer Pay. My first question would be, what really happened? Was Pay dismissal driven by performance metrics, political friction, or strategic repositioning on the part of the president?
From my point of view, I really have not followed up, for the specifics. In fact, Elvis, please give me a call after the show. I want to learn something from you concerning this HPS. You mentioned something I want to ask more about. Okay, so I'm sorry. I have not actually followed up mostly, on P. But let me speak on the issue from the way I know him personally. I know him to be a very principled man. He's very straightforward when it comes to programming and project, management. He's one of the very, I can name 3 people in Liberia that actually can, vouch for when it comes to transparency and honesty, and he's one of them. And so for him to be dismissed and, from a position of, a minister, without any further explanation, that still puzzles me. But I think it should be some policy or principle, driven reason, either alignment with the current, president's agenda, or maybe disagreement with the president on certain issue, as some people are alluding. But I really just can't say much about this issue, because the fellow in question is someone I have a lot of respect for, and I know that from previous projects that I interacted with him, he's somebody to work with and somebody to trust. So for now, I just want to reserve my comments, because I will only speculate and I can only assume, because I don't know the specifics.
Thank you. Let me go to Mr. Emmanuel G.K. Judge on this. What you think is going on here? People are saying all kinds of things, and there is this thing about the president. People will all say the president hire and fire at will, and because of this, people, the president has the right to fire. They say the will and pleasure. As a result, there is not much that we expect or that we demand or advocate for when it comes to firing. So we don't see much transparency and accountability when people get fired. It's okay, the president gave it, he took it. What's your take on this one with Wilmer Pay, HPS, Asylum Return, all these things are coming into picture?
Well, first off the bat, for full disclosure, Minister P and myself, we have been friends for over 25 years. Okay. I know him very well, along with his wife. So let me make that full disclosure.
Thank you.
Since he became minister, we have had conversation, because when my friends go into higher government position, I normally allow them to do their work, so I don't have a lot of conversation. So it'd be a why. We have, the last time we actually spoke was in Dallas when the president visited and we had to meet. But look, one thing I know about Minister Pay is a very principle-minded person. He sticks by his principle. When President Salif appointed him Deputy Minister of Commerce in her second term, he rejected the position because he felt it was better that he stay as Secretary General of the Unity Party. When he felt that what was the former councillor, the former chairman of the UP was being undermined, he stood very firm.
Sherman?
with Councilor
Barney Sherman?
Councilor Vani Sherman. He stood very firm with Councilor Vani Sherman, thus leading the charge to the expulsion of President Salif and standing firm with President Boakai. So and then when he went to the PLP and Daniel Cassell was not keeping to his promise, he left the PLP and exposed what was happening within APAD. So he has always been a very principle-minded person. So I won't speculate, but I believe, first off, again, we must state here very clearly for everyone to know that whenever you take up a position of an assistant minister to a minister position in the ministry, you serve as the will and pleasure of Mr. President. The president have to. There's no law, no part of our constitution that says the president should fully explain why he removed. It could be philosophy difference. Maybe the president is thinking about another way to move the country in the next 2 years, and perhaps Minister Pei did not fit within his ideology or in his philosophy. So I'm not going to put a lot of speculation that I have a conversation. Even if I have a conversation with Minister Pei, I won't talk about it in the public. But I think that there must have been a very strong philosophical difference between the president and Minister Pei, because he has come up. I know people are talking to the sentiment of his wife. Yes, I spoke to it and someone say, don't talk about that about women. But those of us who are married and who live in a public girl or who have ran corporate companies before, you know, when things like that happen, your wife's reaction is totally different from your reaction, right? They go in there with the feelings, and why you sit there and want to. So after this, he has made a statement thanking the president for the time he served. And I'm very sure that he will be reappointed. I'm having a feeling that the president will appoint him to a role where the president believes that he's comfortable with his ideology. I know the HPX thing seems to be high. That's the same information I received that others are receiving, that he did resign that morning. Was told that the resignation, that speculation to the resignation was not being accepted, and then later on he was fired. But he seems to be taking it in good stride, and definitely the president has the right to make that decision.
Have you spoken to him since he was fired?
Oh yes, we have had conversations since.
And what did he say?
Okay. Well, we're just having normal conversation as friends, just checking on him and seeing how he's doing. I did not go into anything around why he was removed. I don't think it's the right time to do that, but we just have general conversation, seeing how he was doing. He definitely said that I went in clean and I came in clean, and I appreciate that over him, because it was sudden for every one of us, right? There was a ministry that people were praising. Even Mr. Costa praised this ministry a week before, and all of a sudden this happened. But again, as I said, it's a will and pleasure of Mr. President. Philosophical idea, differences on future plans may have played into it.
Yeah. And Mr. Costa also praised George Weah. But anyway, that's another story. George, you are one of those who work in government. So, and I talk about Dr. Williams. What's going on at the ministry? What's your feeling? You know, the will and pleasure clause makes the president, you know, he doesn't have to explain. And really, I don't like that. But who cares?
Dennis, you know, whenever situations like these occur, for me, I'm more about the structural governance issues in the country, the defects that are in the system. We borrowed a system where it is placed upon the president this privilege of serving at the whims and caprices of the president. What doesn't make sense is, why do we have a president nominating people to be confirmed by the Senate, but when he's removing those people from office, he does not have to go back to the Senate to provide a basis, legitimate or not, to provide basis for why he's moving those people. I think our governance structures need to be revisited. I'm hoping that young people around all of these political leaders can hang heads, because a lot of the political leaders we have no idea where they want to take this country. We propel them on the platform. They go in there and they do the very same things that leaders before them have done. Young people need to step back for a minute and converge around where and how they want Liberia to go. There are lots of defects, structural defects in the country. We have an overpowerful executive, an overpowering president. We have a governance commission that has been ineffectual for the last 8 years, to include the 2 years of President Boakai. And so there hasn't been any suggestions to move our country forward. No referendum, no national conversation around what kind of structures do we want. Under Charles Taylor in 1997, we through the neck, there was a piloting of the proportional representation system, so that it is not just a winner-take-all situation. But Liberians haven't sat back since the war to truly assess, where have we gone wrong? What are those things that need to be changed? How can we change them so much so that no government coming after we make the decision can alter those things? We haven't done that. We're still chasing after who can be our political leader, who can lead our country, who can make things happen. We're imposing on one individual the challenge of transforming our country, when we, who have the power, the knowledge, the know-how to make that happen, we're stepping back and waiting for them to do it. I think Liberians, young Liberians, all of us on this platform and beyond, need to step back and begin to have a conversation. Put the political leaders aside. We need to have a conversation. Where do we want the country to go? How do we want this country to move forward? And our country can move forward. All of us want a small government. Many of us want a private sector driven economy. All right? But running around, going from country to country begging would not help. Would not help. Other countries have sat back. They've used their resources to empower locals to drive the economy. What stops us from doing it? Last time around, last week, we had the same conversation. I came from Grances, not knowing English. I came to Monrovia and saw a country that was moving. Elvis got angry and said, oh no, you know what? It was not moving in Grand Judah, but it was moving in the region. So much so that people came from the region to be in Liberia, to hold Liberian passport, because things were happening. In 8 years, what Talbot did in this country, I'm not an apologist for the Tory party, but what Talbot did in 8 years, no president after him have done it. If Talbot could do it, we can do it. We, especially us, the young people. Why do we keep running behind these same old people, hoping that they will make a change for us? Why don't we get together? Dr. John, Victor, Mr. Isma, Mr. Gay, Mr. Morris, why don't we get together? Why can't we make this happen for ourselves? Why are we looking for saviors when we should be our own saviors? You know? And so, I mean, that's my message. That's my transformational message. Liberians, take charge. Stop looking for political leaders. They won't get you anywhere. You take charge. Let us take charge.
In full disclosure, you supported the 8-year president of Ghana now. So just make sure you put that in there.
Murray, just took the word out of my mouth.
Elvis, between George Weah and Joe Boakai, yes, I'll support Joe Boakai.
Okay, then just say that. Because you said, when I run behind old people, but you run behind an 8-year-old man, so put that in.
What has that got to do with the message?
Well, you're contradicting yourself. You're saying one thing and you did the opposite of what you're saying.
No, okay, I'm not. I'm saying we are here. Do we continue on the same path? Or do we shift?
Look, thank you, Mr. Jai. I personally don't know Mr. Wilman Payne, but I've spoken to people from Nimba who knows him, you know, and he seemed to have been a competent, person in that position. He's a person of integrity. And even just listening to him, he's a brilliant person. And when he speaks, even in regular conversation, the press conferences that he gives, you can tell that he's a very smart person. So my hat goes off to him. I think he's one of the most qualified people that they have in his government. But you always have to understand, when you're a political appointee, you have to have political considerations. Any position you serve in government. And I think the president felt like they weren't aligned politically, especially in certain things that he wanted for the country. Again, it comes down to this HPX deal. And I've said it earlier, people from Nimba, they hold ArcelorMittal in high regards because they have been fostering economic growth within the county. A lot of people are hired, making sometimes $1,000 a month, couple of thousand, 500 a month. A lot of Nimbanians are hired by ArcelorMittal, so they have a high regard for that company in their county. And Wilma Pay is an Nimbanian, so I think just looking on the merits of it, he's probably more so on the side of ArcelorMittal in this whole HPS deal, or hope having hope or whatever they're called. So for me, I think the president kind of went. He kind of neglected what the country needed for what he needed as a president, or for what HPS needed from him as a president. And Wilmer Pay seemed to be serving the country well in that capacity. And he felt like he was a stumbling block in getting this deal actualized, so to speak. And he sought to remove him. I think, as much as I despise him, had Prince Johnson been alive, perhaps this wasn't going to happen so easily, right? Maybe he would have had some pushback from Prince Johnson, who I think was an advocate for Wilmer Pay being, put in that position. But I think this is
if they could replace him by a Nimba person, Prince Johnson wouldn't be happy.
I don't know about being replaced by Nima person, but I just think that the fact that HPX now seems to have the upper hand, and anybody who are from Nimba, or anybody who are who seem to be sympathetic to ArcelorMittal is being pushed to the side, and nobody is really coming up. Prince Johnson, he put the bus to figure out and tell you what the government intention is and how they're going against the people of Nimba interests and blah blah blah. Jeremiah Concern is not doing that. Even Koga is not doing that. So ArcelorMittal may.
Yeah, Toya.
Yeah, Antoine, I think he spoke against it. Yeah, I think one senator spoke against it. But I think that the fact is that they're not united behind the idea that Senator is their guy, and they should be rallying around them because they're really investing a lot in the country. So for me, I don't know what the president really think he's going to get from this deal. I think he think that the international community, like the United States, are really going to help him and maybe give him that MCC deal, and it's going to boost his government revenue or whatever the case is. But he's putting all his chips in this HPS deal, and this has been a rumor even from Costa and other people that HPS even did some illegal campaign funding in this election prior to the president ascending. That they helped sponsor his election, and as such, he pretty much owed them. And he's doing everything in his power by hook or by crook to make sure that this deal is finalized and HBS gets what they pay for, so to speak. And I think this is blatant corruption from our president, and he's taking good people out of his government just so that he can facilitate HBS getting the access to our railroad. And I think that's a shame. The UP partisan should be ashamed of that president.
Thank you, Victor. You think this is a political retaliation? Sometimes people, you fire them and then it's just wrapped in this will and pleasure thing. What do you think? And we say, okay, if this person is not aligned with the president agenda, then you want to ask, what specifically, what is that agenda and what is this person is doing that does not align? Where does the president want to take this country when it comes to the way we do our mining and concessions?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question, especially I think you indicated or someone did. Minister Pay, apparently it was one of those bright spots in this government, as many people, indicated. And so it's a little confusing the way he was let go. Again, the lack of information from the government also, I think the CMC has also highlighted that it will help even for the president who has been separated from the government. Give them closure. Let them, give something while you're letting them go. Don't just dismiss people under the cloak of, administrative reasoning or whatever that is. But yes, Elvis is also right. There are reportings that the minister was actually standing up against exploration of minerals that in the first place were kind of disturbing the balance, the ecosystem in the area, and also poisoning some of the waters and all of that. So it's a whole host of things. So I understand that Salametel may have maybe trying to get another mountain that is called, I think, Kitoma Mountain. I'm not sure if that's the right name, but something like that. I think the minister apparently had drawn the line. And so, with all of these speculations, I think it only makes a lot of sense if we get some clarity from the government. And then the minister himself has not said anything, so hopefully, he will at some point in time, besides the recent remarks where he was turning over, hopefully someone will say something. But there seems to be a systematic attempt by this current government to sideline responsible people in NIMBA whenever it comes to these negotiations.
What does that mean?
What it means is the main people who should be at the table usually are left out. I mean, the entire NIMBA caucus, the last time when the president went to sign the $1 billion deal before he went to the States, the entire caucus was sidelined. They were not invited into the negotiation. The president went into NIMBA and came out, and they were all in an uproar. Yatwayan, for instance, issued a statement. Musa Belete also issued a statement. And so it is kind of puzzling that the government behave the way it does when the current vice president is from NIMBA. So I won't be surprised if this minister, was let go because he stood up to this government for his people in an attempt, to negotiate some kind of deal for their, for some mining rights in NIMBA. But again, the lack of information makes it very difficult. So it's all left to speculations.
Yeah, we hope. Jimmy, I want to conclude on this one. 2 weeks ago, Dr. Dugbayam, he was let go. Now is Mr. P. And people are saying, well, they call them bright spots in the government that other people trusted. But others are saying, at least this president can fire. It means he has a direction. He knows what he wants, instead of just letting people just stay and do whatever they want. So these firings, whatever the case may be, should be good, because we came from President Weah, who almost never fired, even though things were so glaring, kept people on the job, whatever they did. But this president, does this show us that he's in control?
Well, I don't like the comparison, because Dubayan was allegedly let go because he did things autonomously without consent of the board, without knowledge of the board. His actions were in fact, his actions can really be viewed as violation of a proper procedure. And that is enough to get fired. Now, with this other dismissal, I haven't heard of any impropriety surrounding Minister Pei. So then I will only conclude like this. When you've been trained as a professional engineer, professional doctor, you have been trained for years and years and years as a professional. You will not make a decision contrary to your values and the doctrine you have been taught just for political gain. So if he was directed to make a decision that went against his professional ethics, that went against the sciences that he learned, he did it for his own self-preservation. And I wouldn't be surprised if they bring him back, because leaders in those situations know that they have somebody of integrity, and they're not willing to belly up simply because you tell them to. So I'm hoping that that's what motivated Pei, and that he maintained his integrity and professional ethics, regardless that he was being told to do the contrary. Now, one thing is common, though, that there's an amount of control that is being that's trying to be exerted here. You want to make sure everybody falls in line and everybody's control. And this is what I see happening, a consolidation of control. You will know eventually, if you don't do according to the dictates of the executive, well, you will just be let go. Now, that will be an atmosphere that some professionals will never enter, because they will not be compromised. Or when they are compromised, they will simply resign. So how is it, unless something else surfaces, that because that seat, that particular position, all positions in the country, is one of the most challenging positions. Why? So all Liberia's revenue, the majority of the revenue comes through mining. If you look at our GDP and all of that, majority of our revenue is coming in through mining. That is where the revenue is. And so there's a lot of people trying to get in, trying to apply for licenses, trying to get the different advantages, as you see the HPX and the Asometal deal. So it's a hot seat. And if you're not very, very ethical, you could easily fall victim. So he's gone, and I think if it's because of professional ethics, then so be it. But if it's related to something that he should not have been doing, then we have reason to. But so far, this far, we haven't heard anything. So I think it's just a matter of control. You have to do what I say, or you're gone tomorrow.
Let's talk about the last menu item, and that's what I call the spree of resignations. I don't know if Victor would like it this way. The resignation spree in the CMC. First, it was Grace Goa, the USA president, and now there's the mobilizing chair also in the US, and then another person from Dubai who was the local chairman there. From the CMC. The CMC, like other new political parties, came with this reformist agenda. We're going to do things differently. But Grace Goa and two others resigned from the CNC. Some are citing lack of transparency and accountability. Is this a principled stand or a sign of deeper disillusionment with reformist policies? Victor is the CMC chairman for Northeast, and I don't know if he can speak officially or has a panelist here. But Victor, I want you to speak to the resignation. What's going on in the CMC?
I cannot speak to that matter. The party has spoken, and so I will stick with that position.
What did the party say?
That's a second Bush.
The party has a statement out. I'm sure you read the statement, Dennis.
I read a statement of Grace Go. I didn't read a statement on the other two resignations.
But that is the statement I'm talking about. So I will stay by that statement.
Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Progressive, you're not being transparent.
What? Did you decapitate?
Hold on, guys. Why? So
You're not joining Freemason. You just speak your lips. I see you.
Okay, so besides,
let me ask Victor one question.
Okay,
I see the appointment of Wale Power.
Right.
And I think she's going in as vice president or something.
Vice chair for legal and party.
Isn't she the CEO of Streamers?
Okay, how many people am I answering?
Oh, sorry.
Let me finish my question. So, does this appointment have anything to do with Miss Gua's departure?
Look, I don't think so. But again, I like to talk about this. But so I was getting ready to come on air. We reached a decision that we'll stay with the party statement. There's a release. I put that release in the chat room, but I think it's been updated, so I took it out. But I can tell you this, right? We had Marvin Cole coming to the party. We didn't have a session yet to talk about it. We had Larry Yanko come to the party. We didn't talk about it. We had Jerry Youngbo come to the party. Why are we talking about departure? This is a young party. The party is less than 8 months old. People will come and go. This is politics. I'm sure Anthony Gay knows that. Josh Emmanuel Josh knows that. All of us know that. So this is a non-issue. People come and go. It's part of the course. It is politics. I wish I could say more than this, but I won't because I was a part of the decision that said we leave it as it is. There's only one spokesperson who will speak on this matter, and it will come from the executive committee level.
Thank you. And let me follow by saying, at a time when Dr. Francine Richardson, there was a meltdown on TV, and the party also came up with a statement, and we didn't see any statement from Dr. Richardson. Now he has come to this point, so the party did not, when it responded to the resignation of Grace Goa, the party did not really elaborate.
Well,
Is the party getting short on transparency here? Because we want to know
Mhm.
more.
so somebody quit. She wasn't fired like we were talking about the minister of Lands and Mines. Then you have an obligation to explain why you're dismissing this person. But if someone decides, political parties are voluntary associations. People come and go at will. I don't see any obligation here for the CMC to explain anything. Absolutely none. First of all, if you read the separation, the departure letter, they themselves they lack specificity. Excuse me. They're less specific than you want the party to be.
Okay.
That kind of detail. I think you should go after the person who left and talk to them. I'm not being flip here. I'm not being flip, but I'm telling you, I was a part of a meeting that decided, we say enough on this matter. We think we're doing better and greater things that we should be talking about than talking about, people coming and leaving the party.
Thank you. Another person who is used to party politics is the ANC chairman. Mr. George, do the resignations from CMC, in your view, reflect a healthy assertion of civic integrity or a deeper crisis of faith in political movements?
No, not at that. I think it was either on FOL on closing argument that Mr. Namwe told us to open our party leadership to everybody, so you can just walk in the door. We give you leadership. You see, I'm sure he understood it. He getting the pills of the lesson of opening leadership to everybody walking in the door. Now he will get. I know he been in politics for long, but he will get more mature to knowing that. Look, leadership in the political movement is not for everybody. There are things that happen when you get into leadership that you dream more about, but you have to be strong to stay the course. We join political movement without understanding the manifesto of the political movement. We don't understand that the political leader, we are not politically savvy enough to know that the political leader is the one who sets the tune of the political party in a non-election year and the standard bearer in an election year. So when dynamic starts to play up, we become personal with it and not understanding how a political movement should run. And that's why people leave. That's the reason why I told Mr. Nangwe weeks ago when he brought up this thing that we should open our ANC convention to everybody to come and run for chairmanship. No, you have to be in the political movement for 3 years. You have to understand us, understand the dynamics. Because if people don't understand the dynamics, they will leave in 8 months or 6 months or 3 months or 4 months because they come with their feelings. You want to be in politics, have nothing to do with your feelings. You don't
Mr.
become
What are you implying?
Let me say this. No, he's calling my name. Let me just say this. Mr. George, here is what I said.
But the main finisher.
Hold on.
We got a tempo.
Okay.
I want George to finish. But George, are you implying that the CMC opened its door to everybody without critically analyzing and seeing who was being accepted? And because you are saying that's the same thing, Mr. Nawi advised the ANC to do.
It's possible. They are 8 months old. He alluded to it. They are 8 months old, and they have these leaders coming in. They did not go through elections. I know that. What level of scrutiny that they went through to know that they were politically coming from another party, they were in some political background, but what scrutiny they had to show that they were loyal to the philosophy and the manifesto of the CMC. What process did they go through to understand what is the direction of the CMC? And this is what you have. It's not only for new political party, or we have people coming into our political movement and all of a sudden want to give them leadership. It doesn't happen anywhere. You don't just open your door and bring people into leadership with something as serious as because things happen in the political movement. Now, what Mr. Nangwe and others in the CMC will be doing for the next couple of weeks is cleaning up the situation with the mass movement of people from the party. We experienced it in the ANC during the election in Nima County. We had a whole suite of leadership. In the middle of election that left our party. We had to go through that struggle too that they are going through right now. So again, we have to start teaching people that this thing is an institution. When you come into this institution, you have to spend time understanding what the philosophy of the institution is, commit yourself to the philosophy, and not having your skin, when something happens, you run through the next door when you walk up to leadership. It's not good for the political movement to see leaders of the movement leaving. Foot soldiers can leave at any time they want to leave. But if you want to take leadership role in any political movement, you should have the skin to live within that role and spend the time to spend in that role. So I do sympathize with my brother in the CMC, and I understand this struggle they are going through right now. But those of you who wants to come into this political, to become a member of our class, the political class, and you want to raise your hand up to be leaders, you should know that it comes with a strong level of commitment. You should come with that commitment.
And compromise if possible.
But that's what politics is all about. How will you enter politics and you don't want to compromise? If you don't want to compromise, you go and join the church and become a pastor or a nun or a sister. There's nothing that will compromise with. Even with that, you have to compromise sometimes. But in the politics, it's about compromise. Why would you want to come to politics? You don't want to compromise.
Thank you, Mr. Nambe is smiling now, so I tell you ready to talk. Mr. Nambe, there was a story I want to tell you about one of your fellow progressive. Sandro Wayne said he was running his campaign in Cape Mount. So I mean, his party chairman he talked, and the people were moved, everybody excited, and Sandro Wayne mounted the podium and he started talking, and people were getting goosebumps. While in the middle of the campaign, they saw one guy passing with gallon of oil. They said, "Oh, where you coming from?" He said, "Oh, the other guy there giving rest." So by the time Sandro Wayne looked around, he was standing here, he and the chairman. He and the chairman were there, the other people went to the other guy who was distributing rice. Don't believe that story.
Yeah, Liberian politics. Well, I tell you this, Dr. Josh, when we had the discussion, what you always saying was, you not give anybody position in the ANC who had been in the ANC for less than 3 years. And my argument was, if you're just coming out of an elections less than 2 years ago, in which, and I was a part of the CPP, in which we performed so dismally, and then I think, giving the reins of leadership to the same people, I thought for me that was not taking Mr. Cummins' own advice of not doing the same thing and expecting different results. Because if the same people who ran the elections in less than 2 years ago are the same people you're entrusting with the leadership, then it means you're bringing back the same people for 2029. That was my argument. Now, coming back to the CMC, look, people come to political parties for several reasons. Some of what you just said, I agree with you. Maybe lack of understanding and appreciation of the principles of the party, but people come to political parties for different reasons and they leave. It will happen, as you indicated. It happened in the ANC. It will happen. It happens to all political parties. People come, and especially getting close to the election, cross-carpeting happens all the time. But we're comfortable with what we're doing. We're comfortable with the ground game we're working on. And yeah, we will miss our colleagues who are leaving us, but we're also receiving lots of people in our folds. You just talk about Wade Powell. I mean, she's one of the respected business people in around Liberia, and she just came and joined us. Like I said, a lot of other people who are signing up, and so yeah, we're growing the party. That's what we're working on, and we'll continue our work.
Mr. Nambo, you didn't expect that Madam Powell would join your party, that John Palmer will or John Rest. You didn't expect that she would be a member of your party?
No, I think if it were powerful course, then we've been around almost 8 months. There's some things that she was looking for to happen.
Yeah, she was negotiating a fee in the back.
That would trigger the decision.
Like Victor, Dr. Richardson, like Wade, they were all part of the the CPP. So this is a seamless transition, right? For the lack of a better word.
Well, I'm not. I supported the CPP. First of all, the CPP was not a party. The CPP was a collaboration. And
so which party you came from to join?
From the UPP. I came
but
from
UPP
the
was
United People's.
UPP was not part of that collaboration.
Yeah, UPP was.
So you were not there as a UPP person.
The CPP was the party. They registered as a party and ran as a party.
Right.
CPP was not a party; it was a collaboration. Mr. Elvis.
No, just like the
CPP,
CDC is a collaboration, it's
CPP
also a
was
party.
the
All
CPP
right.
was well, the CPP was comprised of Liberty Party and the ANC, and
Peace
then
of
there are
Liberty Party.
yeah, and because the Liberty Party retained its identity, so how could they have registered as a political party? That's not possible. But those two were the core members of the CPP, and then there were the rest of us who came from other institutions. You know, Louis Brown, who was the chairman of the CPP, Louis Brown came from NPP, and in fact, there was a party he was announcing. He didn't come from the ANC. I'm sure Mr. Georgia will agree with me, and he was the chairperson of the collaboration. So there were a lot of people who came around to help the CPP. That's the point I'm making. And so at the end of the election, the CPP was dissolved. We went back to our various institutions. So it's not like we remained with the CPP and just came from the CPP and came to the CMC. No, I went back to the UPP. And then and then when the CMC came around, I saw what was being done, and that attracted me. And so I said, you know what, I'll come up.
Because the CMC leader too was the chairman of the CPP. So it's very possible that when you leave, I've been in churches where the pastor or the assistant pastor will leave, you will go with some members. But George,
he was in there as chairman of the Liberty Party. That's why he joined the CPP, right? Musa came from Liberty Party.
Yeah,
No,
he was the chair of the CPP.
Yeah, I agree. He was.
Yeah. So I asked him whether he was taking ANC member. He said he's not going to manufacture new members, so he's going to take members from everywhere. But George,
yeah, but hold a minute. Hold on. Marvin Cole in Boakai didn't come from the CPP. He came from NPP. He went to NDPL. No, I'm trying to debunk your assertion because you're implying here that all of the members who are coming into the CPP came from CPP, and that is not true.
Marvin Cole came from the MPP, not the MDB.
He came from but he came from the CDC.
All right,
the CDC and NPP collaboration.
Thank you. Dr. George, one thing that is clear, I think one thing that people are citing is transparency, accountability, and basically one-man show. But you should expect that because political leaders these days have deep pockets. And so if you are the one who is carrying the part of the financial burdens on your head as a person, I mean, you should have the voice, you should have the final saying. So what we see in the CMC is going to reverberate around, or it's already doing that, right? So if Musa is the one who is, putting up his money building the bridges and flying people from here and there, it just got to be a one-man show. So it's not unique to the CMC. What's your thought?
Yeah, but the party again is 8 months old. And you don't build structures overnight.
I was talking to Dr. Williams. Sorry.
Oh, okay. I thought.
Sorry.
You see, that's where the confusion will come from.
Yeah. Go ahead, Dr. Williams.
Dennis.
I mean, Musa pay, decide, coming decide. We are making.
There's a simple adage that goes along. He who pays the piper calls the tune. Yeah. I mean, I don't see CPP in 20 years, 100 years with Musa as leader operating any differently than they are operating now. And that's not just CMC. It goes with a lot of other political parties in the country. Victor is from UPP. And I do know that during the years of UPP and the LPPs, even to a large extent, the True Party, those parties were true institutions. Post-conflict Liberia, we're yet to see institutionalized parties. The parties are still struggling. Every election cycle, you have new parties coming up, people cross-carpeting here and there. And until we move more ideologically on the political landscape, our party politics is going to remain as is. Victor came from a grassroots party. He's now with CMC. The philosophical and political viewpoints from those two parties, they're stark contrast from what it was. UPP more grassrootish oriented. I'm not sure CMC which direction we're going. Victor, forgive me. I'm just highlighting some of the
Go right
contemporary.
ahead. Go ahead,
No,
Doc. How
no,
about
yeah,
it?
brother, get the man.
Go ahead. How about it? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, with the ANC, I'm not sure what the philosophical difference between the ANC and the CMC is at this point. And so you can do the comparison with other parties and say, so why are we different? Because when those leaders sit down, there's hardly a difference between what they're saying. There's hardly a difference. And so it's all about egos. And if we put the egos aside, we'll build institutions. But we're not building institutions. It's all about egos at this point. That's why we have the landscape that we have.
Jimmy.
Well, if I may come in,
I want Jimmy to come in. You know, then you can come in, Victor. I know they're going to put a lot on your plate.
I mean, but some of us women got our take on the deal.
But Jimmy didn't get a take yet.
But Elvin, you be interrupting all the time. You already had your take.
I did say something, and what I alluded to was that I think Gua's departure coincided with the appointment of
wedding power. Yeah, thank you. Let others go then. You spoke.
All right. Look, I think for me it's a deeper issue, right? And it's that Mr. Ability, if I can call him that, he picked people who are not politically bona fide, right? Who is a great many people who hasn't made their bones, so to speak, in politics. Grace Gore is an activist. She's not a politician. To put her in such a high position, without knowing, like Mr. George said, the rigors of politics, and maybe her feelings got hurt and she got emotional and she left because maybe she felt like she wasn't given the power that she thought she had. She wasn't given a voice, to that magnitude to speak on certain things that was being done in the party. So she became quickly disillusioned and she decided to leave, like Mr. Nama was alluding to, that it was her who quit. She pretty much rage quit, like the kids would say in America, got mad, and just said, I'm done, and she left. Probably what happened. But like Mr. Ability, like the Bible says nothing new under the sun, right? He's going back, he's going to formulate a team of people that you know. The Weighted Power, who I ran his Shermex company as his CEO or CFO or whatever she was for his company. He's going to bring similar faces like Mr. James Victor Nangwa, who he worked with in the CPP. He's going to surround himself with familiar voices. So it's not going to be any new ideas. It's going to be the same people, regurgitating the same things from the ANC, just being an auxiliary of the ANC, even though they're trying to distance themselves from the ANC. But for me, I think what's really going on here is that, his ability to put inexperienced people. He was doing the thing as a Russian, a quick, let's get a party together to show that we're viable. Dr. Francine Richardson, she's not a politician. She hasn't done anything in politics that's noteworthy. She hasn't led any campaign. She hasn't been a part of any political movement that's yielded any results. But she has such a high position. Something that even a Mr. Namba should be in that elevated position. He's been in the trenches in politics in Liberia for a longer time. Even Mr. Jerome Gayman, who is a propagandist who knows the in and outs of Liberian politics, he should be in a higher position. So when you're giving people positions who hasn't had any political, warfare, and don't know what they're really doing, regardless of if they're women or not, you're setting yourself up for failure, or you're going to overwhelm them to the point where they're going to quit.
Why you think you will do that?
That's the point that I'm making, which I think is foolhardy, that you will put women around you who are unqualified. You can find qualified women. Even the water power lady that's coming in, she's a business professional. She's qualified in that regard, but politically, she didn't have any success running as a representative, last election. So what is she bringing to the party politically that's going to show that she's going to bring and add something to this political institution? People who are seasoned politicians should be leading and be in position of leadership, not women who are loud. I hate to say it, professional women, albeit, but just loudmouth women who are on platforms and hasn't shown anything politically for it. So they're going to get overwhelmed by the rigors of politics and they're going to rage quit. And I think that's what we saw with Mrs. Gore. But I appreciate her activism, by the way, but politically she's not a factor in Liberia politics.
So yeah, when you talk about Dr. Richardson the way you do, Elvis, I have to push back. Let me let you know, Dr. Richardson is doing a phenomenal job where she is. We're very satisfied with her output ever since she became a global leader. There's no scramble for any leadership in the CMC. We're pretty pleased with what she's doing. Politics does not always have to be presided over by career politicians. I mean, we've seen disruptors, we've seen newcomers come on stage. Donald Trump is a case in point. You don't necessarily have to always be a traditional politician to drive the change that is desired. I think we think Dr. Richardson is doing a wonderful job, and we're very pleased with what she's doing. So, Mr. Gilman and I were in supportive role. We contribute whatever we can, but these are very capable people who probably are doing better than we would have done. And so I just have to let you know that Dr. Richardson is a wonderful person. She's an efficient and effective global leader for the CMC, and we support her effort.
You just scared her because you get doctorate, but
Hold on.
No, I scared of you because you get Walmart. That's why I scared you.
no, I'm just scared. She's not a politician.
Hold on, because you call them loudmouth women. So that was.
No, I said wild mouth. I said loudmouth. Loudmouth.
Yeah, you can't even describe them like that because they are.
Well, why not? Why can't you describe people like that? Men can be loudmouths. Why can't women be loudmouths?
If being loudmouth is to be on platform, is that what you call loudmouth? I don't think.
Yeah, people. Oh man, Mr. Oh man, come on.
Victor, let me ask you this. Dr. Francine had a meltdown when she was asked a simple question by Jackie. I mean, how do you say she's doing a phenomenal job?
So again, the party dealt with that. You referenced the statement that was issued on the party. I will not go beyond that statement. We're satisfied with what Dr. Richardson is doing. She's doing a phenomenal job.
Thank you. Dr. Sumo, let's talk about what's going on in the CMC. Because I think what I'm hearing from Elvis and others is, hey, people will come in the party and they don't know or they are not experienced. So they are implying that, Grace Goa, for instance, just felt that she couldn't withstand the rigor of politics and had to quit. We also have the mobilizing chair in the US and the party chair in Dubai. These are men. Okay, so I don't agree with that, but let me hear your take. What's going on in the CMC that is resulting into this the resignation spree? People are resigning. And there's no guarantee that we're not going to see more.
Let me, when it comes to politics, from my point of view, politics is by nature. We all are politicians by nature. Politics is also interest. And when you have politicians arguing like what Ever is saying, this person is not a seasoned politician, they are a business person, but politics is nature. But the way I see politics, I'm one person who do not believe in political parties. Forgive me, I do not believe in political parties. The reason being that politics divide, political parties divide, and there is no country worldwide with all my study where a political party are ever united a people. So when you see these resignations, that just support my argument because of the way I think that this thing should be done politically, another person sees it another way. And then argument and disagreement comes about. Then you see brother and brother arguing and falling apart. Then you see, families tearing apart because of politics. I've never seen any political party to unite a people except at that common cause when they calling each other partisan. And for a common and most simple philosophical disagreement, they fall apart. So I am not surprised in recent time with all of these resignations, because like Victor said, like Josh, Emmanuel Josh, they are used to those things, But honestly speaking, I am not surprised because politics do not unite people; they divide people. And this is why I'm actually concerned about in Liberia.
Yeah, I
As
don't
far
know
as
that I necessarily agree with that assertion, Dr. Sumo. I really, I have to tell you, I'm strenuously disagreeing. Look, politics
I don't
unite
even know what
people.
it means when you say
Yeah,
politics.
I really don't understand that.
I
I
think it's being
mean,
too diplomatic.
politics united people around a common cause. You don't have to be, boyfriend, girlfriend, kumaya to be partisans. You can belong in the same party, you can disagree, but you can be united in your one purpose to pursue one objective. And I think that's happening all over the world. I mean, right here, the UP is doing it. CDC just did it. That is a political party that brought into the mansion. So a group of people united around a purpose, that's a political party. You don't have to all go to the same lunch or go to the same vacation or, no, that's not what the political party is about. You come in, you bring your ideas and unite around effort, a common cause. That's how I understand it.
Mr. John, please give me 10 seconds to clarify because I don't want to be misconstrued.
maybe I'm
What,
misunderstanding.
when I was talking about somebody being overwhelmed, it was about their political inexperience, not because of their gender. I'm an ecumenical critic. I can dose, criticism on both sides, men and women equally without, fear or favor. So I wasn't saying it because she was a woman. That's why she was overwhelmed. It was just because of her political inexperience. So just to
So
clarify
do you believe that her resignation had more to do with her than the leadership of the CMC?
No. I said she was politically inexperienced. She was an activist. She hadn't been a part of any, rigorous campaigning
So she got
period,
tired. She
and
got
putting her in such a high
overwhelmed.
position and demanding position probably caused her to quit. That's what I said. Not because she's a she and
No,
thereby she's not capable
what,
as a man.
what
That's not
I'm
what I'm
getting
saying.
at is, do you think she had fundamental disagreement about the party direction? Or do you
Mr.
think
Nawa gave us an insight. Mr. Nawa was giving us an insight, even though you try to,
no,
close
he
up. But he
did.
was saying that she quit, and she wasn't, she didn't give any specificity as
No,
to why she quit the party.
she did. She did, but the party is not telling us.
No, Dennis, she did not give any
There you go.
specificity
So
yet.
what did she say?
I keep meddling the word. She was not
Like the
specific.
guy in Dubai
Specificity.
There were
transparency.
there were broad assertions, right? If I say, then it's not transparent on FOL, yeah, I have to give you examples of how you have not been transparent. That would be more specific. But again, I shy away from going into the details of this matter. But I can tell you this: we are stronger today than we were yesterday. There's a press release coming out, and we are forging forward. We're planning a retreat in December. We're going to Minnesota. We're going to sit down again, and reconfigure, our strategy. But we're moving forward. We have more people coming in than are leaving, and that gives us reason for,
Optimism.
for optimism. Absolutely.
Well,
Judge,
Dennis,
hold
go ahead
on,
and
let me
let
announce
me-
that anyone, if you want to participate, we're about to close very soon. Call 605-313-6004. The code is 791-403#. Participate. We discuss 4 different issues, and this is the last one. Go ahead, Manny, and then Emmanuel will come in.
what I was trying to conclude, and the very thing I'm trying to stress here is political parties are good for nation, to come up with some, political system.
Mhm.
But the proliferation of political parties only because you don't agree and then you form your own party, and this other party you don't agree, you go join another party. This is where I got problem. Because the more parties, let's look at, for example, in the United States, we have 2 major political parties. When I see the political landscape here, just 2 political parties. We'll go back in Liberia for 133 years. We had, basically, or in fact, let's just narrow it down to the Tottenham era from the Republican Party days to the Tory Party. And then there were no more Republican Party. It was Tory Party all along. See how much division it caused until it led to a military coup in 1980, or because of political institution. So for me, if you bring in these politics things, for the democratic, procedure, yes, but as an institution where we have to come to build a nation, I don't see it that way, honestly. I'll rest my case right there.
Thank you. Emmanuel, you thought you had something to say.
The first point of correction is that there's no 2 political parties in the US. There are over 5 political parties here. When you get to the issue of political movement, politics is about interest, as has been alluded to. When people come into political movement with different philosophy of how the movement should be driven. But if I get to understand, when we meet as a political organization during a non-election years and we vote in leaders, especially the political leader, it's the political leader that drives how the party is going, is the direction of the party. So there are people who enter and they don't understand that. Because they don't understand as someone had said earlier on, the philosophy of the party, the direction of the party, at the level they get disenchanted, or they see things differently. And everybody has the right at a particular time to see things differently. But my concern that I'm trying to share with Mr. Nangbe is the speed to which we put people into leadership. We don't allow them to grow into the movement, and we put them into leadership. And once they get to the top can be, when I used to teach my students, I had a student who had the opportunity to work with ECOWAS, and she came running to my office one time and said, I want to leave the job. And I tried to make her to understand, look, when you go to the top, it can be very quiet, it's very cold, so you have to build yourself on the foundation, so that when you get to the top, you have people you can withstand those things. That's why when we were going to our meeting, we wanted people who have stayed in a party for a long time. Not you don't have to be an old hand. You can be a new face coming into leadership, but you definitely understand what the political movement is all about. And with a party that is 8 months old and 4 persons have to just today the 3 person resigned, then the 4th person resigned a week ago. It doesn't augur well for those of us for people who are not politicians, but those of us who belong to the political class. We understand it because people flip all the time. But at the end of the day, we must put people in leadership that are tried and that are tested, so that when something happens tomorrow, they don't just jump out ship. And you're talking about transparency. The party is just 8 months old. What transparency are you really arguing about? And maybe they should be clear about that. What transparency you're arguing about? You're 8 months old. What you're doing right now is trying to put together policies, philosophy, developing plans, developing ideas. So when you talk about transparency in 8 months, it baffles me. Anyway, maybe other people.
Let me give you an example. When I say transparency, they wanted to know why did the chairman resign? Grace Goa, why did she resign? And as we saw tonight, we were trying to ask what happened, and then the party is short on telling us what happened. So,
but if someone resigned and the person did not give a statement, people resign for all kinds of reasons. I can resign because of family reason. Maybe my wife will wake up in the morning and tell me, look, all these phone calls you get around the place, I can't live with it any longer. That's not reason,
Right. Then say it. So let the party say Grace resigned because of family reason. That's one of the transparency I think the second resignation is demanding.
That they want to that again. I mean, what you demanding why another person resign? Focus on your work, and let's grow the party we have. Why are you so fixated on why? Look, when somebody resign, they have left the ship. Let us stir the ship. Those of us who are on the ship. Why should we be fixated with someone who have left the ship? We should tell you everything why the person left the ship. I mean, at the end of the day, it left for the CMC to make the decision. But what I feel is that before we start giving people leadership position in our political movement, we must make sure that those people are tried, they are tested, they are not going to leave us in the door. We experienced this in ANC during the last election when a whole group of people that we trusted in Nima County resigned overnight.
So, Dr. George, I disagree with you, but you must also know, because I don't think you do, some of these people who are living with foundational members of the party. So these are not people who just grab from the streets and give jobs. I just want you to know that. And that's not what I was saying when I said to you.
That's very contradict what you were saying. So I want because
See,
then
I'm,
you are
you
implying
see,
that
I'm sharing what
are not
my opinion
included.
on this issue
Yeah, but my
is, and
comment that
hopefully Mr. Namwe then will learn from it anyway. But
my
I'm not saying
comment,
they are not foundational members. They can
No,
be
you
foundational
are implying
members.
that they are not grounded.
Exactly.
And Mr. Number is saying
Which is
no.
a true assertion.
All right. But gentlemen, thank you for tonight. We'll go around the room for your closing. I don't think we have a call here. But before you prepare, yesterday we were doing we had a show where we're talking about personality driven politics in Liberia. That most often we are focused on the who instead of the what. What is it that we want? And most of the time we are allowing politicians to drive the narrative instead of us getting ahead of it, right? To be the one. So we always reactive. We've not been proactive in our political dialogue, right? So put all this together and what is happening. And try to tell me, because whether they are grounded, as you were saying, or not, or they are not grounded, one of the things we see with all these political parties is like one person, the person who's calling the shots, right? The political parties we knew in the 80s, where if you look at, let's say, LPP, you have maybe 10 or 15 possible political leaders or possible chairmen. It was now one person driven. But now things are different. Okay. So what structures or platform can empower citizens to proactively shape national priorities before elections or appointments? How do we move from a personality-driven politics to policy-driven civic engagement? Why do Liberians often focus on the who is in power rather than what they stand for, or what is it that we want, then who can do X, Y, Z, right? These were some of the things we were talking about yesterday. So as we conclude, if you think what we are discussing today have any link, you can throw that in your closing statement as we wrap up. We'll start with Elvis, Emmanuel, Dr. Sumo, Victor, and then Jimmy will close.
All right, thank you. It's been a great show. But for me, I will speak to Mr. Number, right? Because I think I always say this. I'm not somebody who gives praises out easily, but he always had my respect because he fought for, he was a part of the progressive movement. So I always have a soft spot in my heart for him. But I personally don't understand why he joined the CMC. Personally, this is his decision. He made that in his own mind. But I don't think that it aligns with who he is as a person and his political, history. But again, he made that decision. But I'm saying this to say that Musa Ability has a vehicle, a political vehicle, which is the ANC. He had become better within the ANC. He is a wealthy man, just as Alexander
CMC,
Cummings. He is an
CMC.
accomplished businessman. I will argue to the extent more accomplished in Liberia and doing things and providing jobs in Liberia more so than Mr. Cummings. He should have been that natural a person who can contest in the ANC for for the standard bearer of that political institution. But
Musa
instead,
was not part of the ANC. That's what I'm trying
no, I'm
to.
saying he could join the ANC. He was a part of the
Oh,
collaboration with Mr. Cummings. My
okay.
point here is that he had a vehicle, and two of them seem to be getting along. They seem to have a good relationship. So the fact that he woke up one morning, called some of the panelists that's been on our, on this show and other platforms, and said, "Look, gentlemen, I'm putting together a political party. I want you to join me." Called, some other female panelists on other platforms, and boom, we have a political institution. And like Mr. George was saying, some of these people are not seasoned politicians, right? They're not grounded within politics or how to be in top position, political positions. As such, now you see the cracks are starting to show. People are resigning in droves. So again, it's probably a poor decision. Musa Ability has the means financially to put together a political party and do some work in villages and towns, but the institutional infrastructure seems to be lacking within the CMC. And I think it's a shame because Musa could have, served another political party very well, maybe as his vice standard bearer, or maybe even the chairman of another political institution. But again, that's his choice. But lastly, I would say this: look, President Boakai need to take a different page and turn a different page. Go to these meetings with a plan already formulated, and you just need that extra step or that extra collaboration with these governments to make it come to fruition. Don't go there asking for money to build hospital when the hospital delay is not even pointed out or the building project is not even scheduled. Go there with half the thing already done, and you're just asking for somebody to come in and push it further along. Don't go asking for money. Go there with a plan to develop Liberia, whether it's through infrastructure or economic development. Go there and ask for those things. You'll probably be more successful. And lastly, I think what was the first topic we talk about? I want to touch on it quickly before I close. Are you getting me, Mr.
The
John? Are you there?
visa, the president, the
Oh,
visit to
yeah.
France.
The visa issue. I mean, I saw some people
Yes, did
beating
you hear
around the
me?
bush. Are you getting me? I'm hearing you. Yes. Are you getting me?
Yes.
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Yeah. The visa issue. Yeah, lastly, the visa issue, I think people beat around the bush, is no different. I said somebody talk about, I think Mr. George was saying that you can stay for 3 years and da da da. The reality is it doesn't increase the numbers of Liberians that can come into this country. Diplomatically, it's just it's reciprocal. Yes, I get it, but it's not beneficial to us in any way. That doesn't change our foreign policy. It doesn't benefit Liberia in any advantageous, advantageous way. So for me, I think the government has had some missteps. They seem to be getting their footing underneath them. And hopefully, we'll have more success coming up in the next 3 or 4 years. But thank you for having me on. It's been a good show.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
George.
Let me start by thanking our viewers for staying with us for over 2 hours this evening. Thanking fellow panelists, Mr. Nangwe, Mr. Eastman, Mr. Morris, Mr. Somo, and Dennis for inviting me to be a part of your Friday debate. Look, we have had conversation around a number of issues. I will start from the back, the last, and go up. Political institutions can only be political institutions if the members who are joining make it an institution. If we read the manifesto of the institution and believe in the manifesto, and we believe in what we want, we are our future is, we align to it, and we are able to be committed to that institution. And if we want to have strong political institution, and those of us who are members of this institution have to commit ourselves to it. But in any political institution, I think Mr. Jai alluded about make a small correction to that. In any political institution, the political leader sets the tone. When I was very young in 1985, my father decided to run to be the member in the 85 election. He decided he wanted to run on the NDP ticket for Koya district in Bon County. President Doe called him and told him that he was not a preferred candidate. He had to step back and allow the preferred candidate or the political leader to run in that district. So that's how political institutions work in most cases. And so those of you who wants to be members, please spend some time reading the manifesto and the philosophy of both your political party and your political leader so that you can have an understanding of the directions you want to go. When it comes to the visa issue, yes, we are excited that we have 3 years multiple entry to the U.S. It's great for the 5% of Liberians that will always get visa to go to the U.S. But then there is 95% of Liberians that we have to think about. And that's where I believe my political leader, Mr. Alexander Cummings, is making a clear pitch for 2029 for us to start thinking as Liberians. We have to grow the economy of Liberia so that every one of us can benefit from the growth of that economy. So the 3 years we have is there on the table. It's like giving a electric car to someone who have no electricity. It does not benefit you until you have electricity, or you can find a hub where you can plug in your car to get recharged. So if you don't have it, it doesn't benefit you. So we have 3 years multiple visa to the US. It won't benefit us because 80% of us will always be denied visa. We spend $37,000 a month, give it to the American government. Within 10 months, they have $370,000. They have enough money to pay all the Liberian staff at the embassy. Why we keep being denied? So we need to grow the economy, and that's where Mr. Cummings is saying, I can do this. I can grow this economy to increase salary from $150 to $300 to $400 a month and growing upward. I can grow this economy from to make our budget between $1 billion to $1.5 billion. I can do this. I understand company and I understand the mindset, and I can do that. On the issue of Mr. Pay, He's a friend, he's a brother, and I respect that he's a principal person. But the whole issue is what we call in Liberia, John Palmer based on John Rest. I don't have no fight to fight in that battle. Mr. President have the right to make a decision for all those who work as his will and his pleasure. And that's the right of Mr. President. So as you sleep tonight, I want you to think. I'm talking to those of you who are 18 years old right now. Let me tell you my story. When I was 18 years old, at your age, I graduated from school at 60 and a half years old, went to Tottenham College. When I got to TC, I was assured that in 2 years, I would graduate and I would have a job that would pay me $950. In fact, at the end of our first year at TC, about 80% of us were hired, were on government payroll, were being paid while we were going to school at Tottenham College. That happened in a country called Liberia. That's where I was born, there where I lived most of my life. It can happen again. And that is why Mr. Alexander Cummings is offering you. We have to build that economy so that you can have a prosperous future. God bless you. And God bless your family.
year that happened?
Thank you,
What
gentlemen.
year was that?
Thank you. Your
What
time
year
was
was that?
1932.
89.
That was October time?
No time.
All right.
Emmanuel,
1989.
you see, I guess right.
1989? Wow. The war coming to Buto.
And Sam Waller said that's a fairy tale. So, but that's
and he's Sam Waller. He say he's a ghost. He's
yeah, Sam
so
Waller.
if he's not a fairy, then who we're sitting here and talking. He's sitting in the corner, there, hiding in the corner, and typing away every day. He's a ghost.
Yeah, listen, one of the men is a necessary.
Let's say he kind of talking what so you will know what a fairy tale.
But if I was close, I think Jimmy wants to leave in 5 minutes since he has to go.
Yeah, I do have to leave, and I'm going to be very quick. Africa as a whole has always seen politics as a means of survival. So people vote for the person who will bring the development home, not on abstract policies and platforms. But that I say Africa, that's post-colonial Africa. That's before the coming. But before, the elders, the poor society, they were so strong institutions. You didn't go against those institutions. And now we have a system whereas we produce weak institutions and strong personalities. It is evident that we have to go back to the latter, where we are institutions determine our behavior. And if you try to do anything contrary to the policies, the ethics, the practices of our institutions, you'll be rejected. We need to go back there. That's when Africa will get truly free. I'll leave it right there.
Thank you, Dr. Sumo.
Okay, as I earlier said on the show today, I come totally from a different world when it comes to nation building. I believe that if we begin to replace political parties with community-based organizations or non-profit organizations, where, like my brother Emmanuel Jose, where you're going to empower the people, an individual is empowered. That way, you begin to build a nation instead of, you have politicians with their ego and their message. When you follow me, you're going to see that in one of my books, I wrote, if you don't dream, you're going to live another man's dream. And when you live that dream, you're going to follow your dream and aspiration. It's in this book entitled Framing Dreams that I wrote. So Framing Dreams speak exactly my mind. And so I always call on the youth of Liberia, stop being bottled and be a brand of your own. So you go on my social platform, like Agents for Positive Social Change, you always see that message there. Stop being bottled and be a brand of your own. Stop living another man's dream and dream your own dream. And so I want to end on this, and I want to stand at that voice. I know time I want to side with political parties 100%. I know they are the democratic or governing structure or system that runs a country. I acknowledge that. But if you are going to take politics as politics is, especially in Liberia, we're going to go a long way. It is about time that sometimes I follow your show, you come up with the history, and we're telling the story, and we're trying to know who we are. I want to encourage more of that on every social platform where we begin to encourage our young people. Almost everyone in Liberia now are in two categories. They either are journalists or they are politicians. And we need to discourage that on every opportunity we get. So I want to close on this message again to our youth. Start being bottle and be a brand of your own. Thank you.
Thank you. The pastor in my village one praise don't be a bottle. You put water inside a water bottle. You put oil inside a oil bottle.
That's a good one. Become a wine bottle.
A wine bottle.
My time to go.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity. Let me join Dr. Josh and thank all of you as well for joining us tonight. And thanks to our audience as well, even the ghost who's supposed to be out celebrating Halloween tonight. He's sitting over here typing away. But thank you, Wallo, for always joining us, and it's very entertaining. But look, I know my younger brother Elvis continues to ask why I joined the CMC, and I respect Elvis. He's very sharp. I think for his age, I think he's wise beyond his age. So I think he understands the issues. But Elvis, I've said this again. Let me say this again. I come from the UP. I've been in politics over 4 decades, right? And there was a time when the UPP was even more popular than the CDC ever was.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to be a part of Barcos Matthews' party. You understand? But I've seen the ebbs and flows of politics. You understand?
Including me.
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So, and I see Musa, he comes in, and I say, I'm not going to allow the profession be enemy of the good. Nobody's perfect. Nobody. So nobody's perfect. We all have our flaws. But if your positives will outweigh your negatives, I think you're in a good person column. And I see what Musa is doing, what the CMC, and Musa are doing. And I've never seen politics be done a day in Liberia before. And I decided, what, this is something I want to be a part of. And he's a young brother, he needs guidance too. And so I thought to come in and help and add my voice to what is happening. And look what we're doing in Liberia. It's because of us that the people of Bapulu are going to get a bridge. Over 50 years they've been dying on that road. It's because of that Rover Joe is going to get a bridge over in Bunkante because of Musa's ability and the CMC. He's getting ready to go to the southeast. Dennis, you know where I come from, Barobo? We still walk to go to the car road. And I'm hoping Musa will put his satellite over Barobo and help us, connect us. Why should I support him? I've been in politics over 40 years. I've never been able to help my people, And so the ideological struggle I've been waging, at this about time I joined that with the practical. That is why I'm joining the CMC, Elvis. I hope you're listening back there. And I urge all of you to join us. You can come and make it better. Help us the changes that you want to see us do and make the CMC better. Come and join us, cmclrb.com. But it's been great being with you tonight. I look forward to next Friday again to joining you again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank our viewers for watching. Always focus on Liberia, where we educate, we elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We never close a broadcast without playing the song that says we are all Liberian, because we need to be reminded, whether you are for CMC or CDC or ANC, we are all Liberians. Whether you believe the visa extension is the greatest thing ever happened to our country, we are all Liberians. Whether you believe PIL was let go because you disagree with the government, or it was working at the will and pleasure of the president, so you had to go, we are all Liberians. What we all need to do now is to do our very best to make our country the glorious land of liberty. We are all Liberians, y'all. Have a good night. and God bless you.
We are Liberia. Liberia is our home. Liberia people. Either you raise it or we want. Liberia, oh. Either you raise it or we want. Liberia, Liberia.